We are live on YouTube. We are live on TikTok. Happy Halloween. Happy week 8 of the NFL. I already see a lot of comments in the chat. No, we're starting a little bit late tonight. Joe Schmo, I feel like people are really sleeping on Jerry Judy. Guys, Jerry Judy is back. Jerry Judy is going to be playing on our television screens tonight. And I can't wait for him to come back. I'm nervous about starting Jerry Judy this week. I think you should be pretty nervous about starting Jerry Judy this week. But long term, we got to be feeling pretty good about Jerry Judy. And I won't be surprised if we look back at week 8 and think, yeah, we probably shouldn't have been so concerned about Jerry Judy coming off of an injury. He's played 1.5 quarters this season. And in that 1.5 quarter, he was balling out. And we know he is good at football. He dominated as a rookie despite dealing with some drops. He had 7 targets, 72 yards in his very first game of the season, where he did not even play an entire half. So yeah, he definitely has upside. Guys, what's going on? If you are watching live on YouTube, hit that like button and hit that subscribe button if you haven't yet. Guys, it is my favorite holiday of the year. We got costumes, we got candy. It is Halloween. We're live on TikTok and YouTube talking about week 8 fantasy football decisions. We got a lot of start-sit decisions in the YouTube chat, in the TikTok chat. I'm already seeing it. DFS lineup questions. We are live on YouTube and TikTok right now. If you come to the YouTube live, you get a little bit more information. You got my top 10 quarterbacks, running backs, wide receivers, tight ends for the week on the YouTube live. I want to pull up the running backs really quickly because I had to sneak in 11 running backs into my top 10 today. Bear down 99. Thanks for the gifts. I do appreciate that in the TikTok live. We are riding with Nick Chubb this week, guys. Nick Chubb, his floor this week is his usual floor. As if Kareem Hunt was playing, Nick Chubb's still seeing 20-plus carries in most of the games with Kareem Hunt. Kareem Hunt obviously on IR. Dearness Johnson played well with Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt out a few weeks ago, last week. So we should expect Dearness Johnson to take some of the Kareem Hunt role, but it's going to be Nick Chubb week, guys, big time, in a not easy matchup against the Steelers, but definitely a game the Browns can win. And if the Browns have a lead in this game, Nick Chubb could easily go over 100 yards. He could easily score multiple touchdowns, and you better bet Nick Chubb is the one getting the carries inside the 5-yard line, not Dearness Johnson. He was a full participant in practice on Friday. It's Nick Chubb week, guys. Nick Chubb has astronomical upside, but also a really safe floor because he's going to see minimum 15 carries, even if this game is a game where the Browns are trailing up against the Steelers team, I believe, coming off the bye. So Draftkings lineup, let me pull up the Draftkings lineup because I see some people asking in the TikTok chat, in the YouTube live as well. Gave 5-star review, do appreciate that. Morning, Sam. Good morning, Richard. Good morning, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. We are live on YouTube and TikTok right now. We'll get to as many of these start-sit questions as I possibly can, but really quickly, Draftkings lineup. At quarterback, I'm rolling with Sam Darnold at quarterback today. I really wanted to play Jalen Hurts. I think Jalen Hurts is the safest QB on the slate this week. He's gone over 20 fantasy points every single game so far this season. And he gets the Lions. And the Lions are allowing, I believe, the 7th most fantasy points per game to quarterbacks. Really, they have not stopped anyone this season. But Sam Darnold has had plenty of quarterback 1 weeks, and he is also in a good matchup this week. So I do like Darnold. Up against the Atlanta Falcons. I believe the Panthers are going to win that game, by the way. If you come to the YouTube live, I got my picks against the spread on the bottom of the screen. You can see kind of what I'm expecting in each game. And one of my locks this week is the Panthers. They're 3-point underdogs against the Atlanta Falcons. So I'm going with Darnold, the quarterback, Nick Chubb, James Robinson against the Dolphins. We know running backs just feast against the Miami Dolphins. Sorry, the Dolphins are playing the Bills. The Jaguars, I think, let me pull this up really quickly. Jaguars are playing the Seahawks, who also have really struggled against running backs. So the Seahawks defense, I will say, while they've been very bad against really everything, running backs, receivers, quarterbacks, they have started to improve a little bit over the last few weeks. But I'm still rolling with James Robinson. James Robinson seeing a massive workhorse-like role the last few weeks. He's averaging almost 20 opportunities per game. At wide receiver, there are so many good receiving options this week. Devonte Smith against the Lions. You got to look. There's really been a tale of two seasons for Jalen Hurts and the Eagles. Jalen Hurts against bad defenses, bottom 10 passing defenses, has been a whole different quarterback than against actual average or above average defenses in the NFL. And I expect Jalen Hurts to have a big day, and I also expect Devonte Smith to have a big day against the Lions. They're playing basically against undrafted rookie cornerbacks. Devonte Smith, Heisman winner Devonte Smith, who's 12th in the NFL in air yards. So yeah, Devonte Smith, big week coming for him. To wrap up the lineup really quickly, Michael Pittman Jr. at wide receiver. Against the Tennessee Titans, they've allowed the second most fantasy points per game to wide receivers this season. Pittman really has established himself as the clear number one wide receiver for Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz, by the way, looking healthier and healthier and healthier every single week. Then Tyler Higbee at tight end. Guys, Tyler Higbee, I've been saying this all week. If you tuned into the Wednesday Live, where we only talk about trades in fantasy football, and I promise I'm going to get to some of the comments in just a moment. But Tyler Higbee has the most red zone targets in the NFL at the tight end position. Nobody has more red zone targets than Tyler Higbee. He's only scored twice, though. And he's up against a Texans defense today that's allowed 6 tight end touchdowns in 7 games. So, yeah, I like Tyler Higbee a lot to score a touchdown today. So he's my tight end in this DraftKings lineup. And then Kenny Gainwell. Guys, Kenny Gainwell, I know Boston Scott out-carried Kenny Gainwell once Miles Sanders was out. But Kenny Gainwell is the clear pass-catching back. And I believe he's better than Boston Scott. So I'm riding with Kenny Gainwell in this DraftKings lineup as well. Kenny Gainwell is also very cheap on DraftKings and FanDuel this week. I actually think Boston Scott's not a horrible deep sleeper either. And then at defense, I'm going with the Bills, who are up against the Dolphins. Morning, Sam. Start Emmanuel Sanders or Jerry Judy. Yeah, my blanket advice with Jerry Judy this week is just it's a high-risk play. It's a high-risk play. Does Jerry Judy have a higher ceiling than Emmanuel Sanders? Absolutely, he does. Jerry Judy's much better than him. But is this the week to risk with Jerry Judy? He's been out since basically the first half of week 1. So personally, if I have Jerry Judy, I'm just going to keep him on my bench for one more week. One more week. I do think there's a ceiling there, though. So if you feel like you're in a tough matchup and you need to go for the ceiling, then go Jerry Judy. Otherwise, though, Emmanuel Sanders does have a ceiling. What's your top 10 receivers? Yeah, let me pull up my top 10 wide receivers at the bottom of the YouTube Live. And we got a very interesting and difficult situation for fantasy football this week with the Sunday night game. Dallas Cowboys. Dak Prescott looking on the wrong side of questionable to play this week against the Minnesota Vikings. And that makes a lot of your decisions with those players very, very difficult. Nice outfit. Thanks, man. Happy Halloween. We are going to operate under the impression on this live stream today that Dak Prescott is not playing. That is not an official. We have not officially confirmed that yet, but it feels like that's the safe route to go with your fantasy football decisions. Let's just assume Dak Prescott is not playing. Love the app, Sam. Thanks, man. Yeah, guys, if you haven't tried out the WalterPicks app yet in the iOS App Store, you got to go try it out. Link is in the TikTok bio. Link is in the YouTube description. I do appreciate 5-star reviews, too. If I help you out at all on this live, 5-star reviews help us out tremendously, probably more than you even realize. Hurts or Stafford in a 4-point touchdown league. Yeah, you have to play Jalen Hurts this week, man. Matt Stafford also has a good matchup against the Houston Texans. Like, Stafford could easily throw 300 yards, 3 touchdowns today. Nobody would blink an eye against the Houston Texans. But Jalen Hurts is going to be in a game that should be close. Like, the Lions are 3.5 point underdogs. That's it. I think this is the closest spread that the Lions have had all season. But the Eagles are going to have a very, very good offensive day. This is a defense that is just deplete of all talent. They really have very, very minimal talent on this defense. Oh, man. This one's much harder, though. Jalen Hurts or Patrick Mahomes. Yeah, you can't bench Patrick Mahomes. You're really not allowed to bench Patrick Mahomes. Herbert or Gainwell. I actually like Khalil Herbert more than Kenny Gainwell. I like Gainwell a little bit more in PPR formats where you're getting points per reception. Gainwell should have a better receiving day than Khalil Herbert. But Khalil Herbert is seeing David Montgomery like work. He's getting over 15 carries this week. Happy Halloween. Pick 2/rank these middle-of-the-road backs. Elijah Mitchell, Antonio Gibson, Kenny Gainwell, Michael Carter, Myles Gaskin. Walter has them all very close. Yeah, all of these guys are very close. And when you're making close decisions like this, you got to just look at who you think is going to touch the ball the most. And for me, if I'm looking at these names, Antonio Gibson's off the injury report. He's not even on the injury report. We all know he's dealing with an injury, but he's not on the injury report. So, I mean, Antonio Gibson feels like a decent play this week. Washington, 3.5-point underdogs against the Denver Broncos. They could easily win that game. And if they have leads in that game, Antonio Gibson should see at least 15 carries. Elijah Mitchell also seeing at least 15 carries in most of his games. Honestly, I think I'd go with these first two. If it's a PPR league, like you said, though, you got to strongly consider Kenny Gainwell. I think I would rank these guys, though, probably Antonio Gibson first, Elijah Mitchell second, Kenny Gainwell third, Michael Carter fourth, Myles Gaskin fifth. I want nothing to do with Myles Gaskin any week, at any time. So definitely not Myles Gaskin. Hey, Sam, 2-year sub to the app. Wow, thanks, man. Mike, this is the number one way you could possibly support the WalterPicks brand. You could possibly support me. So thank you so much. Subscribing in the WalterPicks app. Pick one, Michael Carter, Gaskin, Devonte Williams, or Damian Harris. Damian Harris, guys, is in a very, very interesting situation this week. The Patriots are as well. They're underdogs they're playing at the Chargers. The Chargers are also coming off a bye week. The Patriots just dismantled the New York Jets, but it's the New York Jets. Guys, Patriots fans, if you're listening, and you're probably not going to like this, since the start of 2021, the calendar year 2021, the Patriots have won 4 games. 3 of those games were against the Jets. 3 of their 4 wins in the year 2021 have come against the Jets, and the only other win was against the Texans. I have very little faith in the Patriots. I'm a very pessimistic Patriots fan. And this does bode well, this game, for Damian Harris. The Chargers are the second worst team against the run this season. They have really struggled against the run. Lots of different running backs have had massive, massive days. And we know the Patriots want to run the ball. So we have a pretty exciting floor ceiling for Damian Harris. But I'm just nervous the Patriots could get blown out in this game. Their defense is really an average, maybe slightly above average defense against Justin Herbert and a just really firepower offense for the Chargers. So I like Damian Harris, but I'm nervous about the Patriots. And Michael Carter, on the other hand, Michael Carter had 8 catches last week. Mike White starting for the Jets. There's going to be a lot of dump off passes for Michael Carter this week. But I would honestly probably go with Damian Harris still. I think I would go with Damian Harris. I don't feel good. I never feel good about starting players on the Jets. Though, it feels like the Jets losing could actually help Michael Carter a little bit because he is the pass-catching running back. But the Jets they're going to struggle to score points. You want guys that can score touchdowns. And if the Jets score maybe 1 touchdown this week, maybe none, I would be pretty surprised if they even scored twice. Mike White is not good. So I think I would go Damian Harris. But it is a tough one. It is a tough one. What's up, Sam? What's going on, Marcus? We're live on TikTok. We're live on YouTube. If you come to the YouTube live, by the way, we have our top 10 quarterbacks, running backs, wide receivers, tight ends this week on the YouTube live, just scrolling at the bottom of the screen. You can also see my favorite picks against the spread on the YouTube live. Link is in the TikTok bio if you're watching on TikTok. Guys, happy Halloween. Happy Halloween. My favorite holiday of the year. Maybe after Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving is the best. But we get football on Thanksgiving and Halloween this year. So it's a great year. And I'm seeing some questions in the TikTok chat. Is Dak Prescott playing? We're going to operate under the assumption that Dak Prescott is not playing. That's not an official announcement, though. This has not been – he's a true game time decision. But it seems like he's trending in the wrong direction. So for this live stream and for the sake of our start-sit decisions today, you got to operate under the assumption Dak Prescott is not playing. I still think you play CeeDee Lamb. You still have to play CeeDee Lamb. By the way, I was reading this story this morning. Let me see if I can pull this up on the TikTok live. No, not going to happen. But CeeDee Lamb, guys, has been fined like almost every week this season. He's been fined for not tucking his shirt in. Like very weird stuff CeeDee Lamb getting fined for. And he's not on a big contract right now. He's still on this rookie deal. He's getting like less than $2 million a year. He's getting fined upwards of $100K so far this season. Absolutely insane. All right, Gainwell or Daryl Williams? Yeah, definitely Gainwell. This one's Gainwell, especially if it's PPR markers. App says Williams. If it's a PPR league, I would go Gainwell. If it's not a PPR league, then you go Williams. And the Chiefs are 10-point favorites against the Giants, so I understand why the app is saying Williams. I understand why Williams isn't a bad play this week. Daryl Williams for the Chiefs. 10-point favorites against the Giants. But I do feel like this is going to be a week where we just see the Chiefs passing attack come back in full force. So I think Daryl Williams actually has a kind of low floor. Morning, Sam. Think I should start Booker or Carter? Yeah, Devonte Booker for the Giants against the Chiefs. Saquon Barkley ruled out again this week. This is probably going to be the last time that you can start Devonte Booker this season. Knock on wood for Saquon Barkley. Michael Carter, again, though, coming off an 8-catch game. 8 catches. I think I would go with Michael Carter. By the way, our YouTube Live was all in on Michael Carter last week in the comment section. You got to come to the YouTube Live, TikTok Live as well in the comment section. People were loving Michael Carter last week. I was wrong about it. 8 catches. Again, I think he has a low floor because I don't think he's going to score a touchdown because he's on the Jets, and the Jets just don't score. They're the worst team in the NFL. Hey, Sam, one more. I'm 1-6. Is it time to panic and try to trade Kelsey for another running back and a decent tight end? My second best running back is Damian Harris. I do think it is time to panic. You're 1-6. You likely need to win out for the rest of the season if you're 1-6 in fantasy football to have a shot at the playoffs. Like this is the mindset you got to operate under. But I don't think necessarily trading Travis Kelce gets you closer to winning. Travis Kelce is still the biggest positional advantage in fantasy football. He is basically a wide receiver 1 in your tight end slot. So huge. It's huge. And I do think Damian Harris has an okay floor. So I don't know if this is the best route for panicking. Emmanuel Sanders or Devonte Booker. Yeah, that one I'd probably go Devonte Booker as well. I'm a full sub to the app. Jack, thank you so much, man. It is seriously the number one way you could support me. I do appreciate that a ton. Guys, if you haven't tried out the WalterPicks app yet or the premium subscriptions in the WalterPicks app, it's going to help you with all things fantasy, DraftKings, FanDuel, player props. Check it out. You get a completely free 7-day trial too, Jack. And a 5-star review. I do appreciate that. Chuba Hubbard or Devonte Smith PPR. Yeah, Chuba Hubbard's the safer play. Like, let's be real. Chuba Hubbard is locked into 15 touches against the Atlanta Falcons. I think the Panthers are going to beat the Falcons today. They're 3.5-point underdogs. They're probably my favorite spread of the day. I think Sam Darnold can have a bounce-back day, but all of that aside, you got to play Devonte Smith. Guys, you have to play Devonte Smith this week. You do not want Devonte Smith on your bench. And I know the floor is definitely lower, like we just talked about, but the ceiling is just so high. Devonte Smith, I don't think we've even seen his true ceiling yet. He's gone, I think, twice over 20 points. He's again 12th in the NFL in air yards. He basically is he's a wide receiver 1 in terms of opportunity this season. And then he gets to go up against the Lions, and he's done well against bad defenses. Against the Atlanta Falcons, he put up 19 points, 70 yards, and a touchdown. Against the Kansas City Chiefs, 19 points, 120 receiving yards, 7 catches. He had 77 yards against the Panthers. He had 108 air yards last week against the Raiders. 9 targets. If Devonte Smith sees 9 targets this week, he's going to be a guy you want in your starting lineup. See, I'd go Devonte Smith. I'd go Devonte Smith over Kenny Gainwell as well. You want to start Devonte Smith. I think Devonte Smith is a must-start player this week. You have to start Devonte Smith. Sterling Shepard or Gainwell? Yeah, the Giants receivers have been such a headache this season. But you got to go with Sterling Shepard and Kadarius Toney this week. I think they play tomorrow night, right? Monday night against the Chiefs. Chiefs secondary, not good. The Chiefs defense is the reason the Chiefs are not Super Bowl contenders, by the way. So much press So much talk about the Chiefs offense and how they struggled last week. Is Patrick Mahomes done? There's not been nearly enough talk about the Kansas City Chiefs defense, which is a bottom 5 defense in the NFL. They really have not stopped anyone this entire season. The offense is going to be fine. Like, can we stop talking about the Chiefs offense? The offense is fine. They're going to be fine. They still have Patrick Mahomes. Mahomes has had 2 bad games, basically, in his entire career. So, let's not panic about the Chiefs offense, but you can panic about the Chiefs defense. It's exactly why Daniel Jones is a top 10 fantasy football quarterback this week, and Kadarius Toney and Sterling Shepard, not bad options. Good spooky morning. Sam, should I start CeeDee Lamb or Jalen Waddle? Oh, God. Yarjma with a tough one this morning. Yarjma, thanks for tuning in. As always, I do appreciate it. I think you have to start CeeDee Lamb still. I really do. I mean, CeeDee Lamb, Cooper Rush is not going to be what Dak Prescott is, and we're probably going to see a lot of Ezekiel Elliott and a lot of Tony Pollard. And again, we're operating under the assumption that Dak Prescott is not playing, where he still could play, but it feels very unlikely that he plays. So we're just going to operate under the assumption he's not playing for this question. I still would go CeeDee Lamb. WalterPicks on Android update. Android people, we're getting closer. We are even closer than we were on Thursday night. Again, I'll reiterate what I said Thursday night. My developers absolutely hate when I give timelines, but the Android is coming. The Android version of the WalterPicks app is coming, and it's coming in the next month. Hey, Sam, Chuba Hubbard or Elijah Mitchell? I wonder if they drink coffee in space. They must, right? I think I would go Chuba Hubbard over Elijah Mitchell. Again, I like the Panthers. I like the Carolina Panthers today against the Atlanta Falcons. The Falcons' defense is really nothing scary. The Atlanta Falcons, they've led the 8th most fantasy points per game to running backs this season. Chuba Hubbard locked in to at least 15 touches. Elijah Mitchell's locked in to touches too. Excuse me. But Chuba Hubbard, I think, is the safer play. He's had at least 12 carries in each of his last 4 games. And the closest game that he's played in, which was 3 weeks ago against the Eagles, who also have a pretty bad defense, he saw 24 carries, 100 yards. I think 100 yards is in play for Chuba Hubbard today. Hey, Sam, love the content. Thanks, man. And a 5-star review. Appreciate that, Ben. Flex, Lockett, Myers, D-Book, or Judy, PPR. Yeah, you really can't be playing Tyler Lockett this week. And Jacoby Myers is not a safe play this week either. And if you've been watching me this season, you know I like Jacoby Myers. He's seeing the, let me take this off for just a second. He's seeing the most air yards in the Patriots offense. He's really out there every single snap for the Patriots. But the Chargers defense is good. The secondary is very good. They're allowing the second fewest fantasy points per game to receivers. And then Devonte Booker, 10-point underdog against the Chiefs, but he's going to also be a guy that's locked into minimum 15 touches for Devonte Booker. I don't think you can start Lockett, though, and I really don't think you can start Myers either. This is honestly a question where I would probably just lean Jerry Jeudy. Again, I don't want to start Jerry Jeudy this week. I'd rather have Jerry Jeudy on my bench in his first game back. But he does have a good ceiling. He absolutely has a good ceiling. He scored 13 points in under a half, the one half he played this year. Devonte Booker's gone over 10 points 3 straight weeks too, though. He's going to get 14-plus carries, even in a game where the Giants probably going to be behind. So I think he's probably the safest bet, but Judy has the high ceiling. Smith or Gainwell. Yeah, you're not allowed to. Don't bench Devonte Smith this week. Just don't do it. Just do not bench Devonte Smith this week. Even if Devonte Smith does bad, I think the process of starting Devonte Smith this week is just too good to have him on your bench. The Lions have not done well against receivers this season. They have undrafted rookies trying to defend Devonte Smith today. Undrafted rookies in the secondary for the Detroit Lions. And there has been whispers of Gardner Minshew in Philadelphia. You better bet that this is the week for Jalen Hurts to silence those whispers. He gets the Detroit Lions. You got to ball out against the Lions, Jalen Hurts. This is the week where Jalen Hurts silences those concerns. And then I'm sure they'll come back later in the season when they play better defenses. But the Lions have given up top 10 fantasy football numbers to every single position really this season. They've allowed the 12th most fantasy points per game to receivers this season. We saw Van Jefferson, Cooper Kupp, Robert Woods completely tear them apart last week. They went over 250 combined yards. Jamar Chase had 97 yards against this defense. Justin Jefferson went over 100 yards. Darnell Mooney went over 100 yards. Devonte Adams went over 100 yards. Deebo Samuel went over 150 yards. They just can't stop the best receivers because they don't have the talent to do so on defense. So, yeah, you got to start Devonte Smith. Weatherman Sam. Any concerns this weekend? Also Moss or Damian Harris. Now, let me pull up weather report really quickly. I do not believe that there's any big weather concerns. I'm pulling it up right now, though. It looks like absolutely no wind today. The biggest wind concerns today are the Steelers game, Steelers versus the Browns, 49ers versus the Bears, but we're not over 25-mile-an-hour winds. And again, I've done research on this. My favorite time of the year is when I get to part-time as a weather reporter. And the only thing that has a statistically significant impact on NFL offenses is wind over 25 miles an hour. We're not anywhere close to that in any games today, this week, today or tomorrow, it looks like. I don't really care about rain. I don't really care about cold. I don't care about snow. I care about wind. And we saw that in the 49ers Colts game, by the way. That game was wild. It completely altered the game. There ended up being a lot of points, almost partially because the wind was so crazy and there was rain also. But we were right that weather was going to impact that game. I don't think there's going to be very big weather impacts today. Really doesn't even look like that much rain today. So no big weather report. Khalil Herbert, which is the best weather report? Khalil Herbert or Daryl Williams? Yeah, again, the Chiefs are 10-point favorites this week. And Daryl Williams is basically in the backfield by himself again. Jerick McKinnon will mix in. But he isn't a bad play. He is a good play. And Walter actually liked him, our artificially intelligent algorithm in the WalterPicks app. He likes Daryl Williams this week because there's a lot of positive signs for him. And the Giants also haven't been very good against the run. They've been a bottom 5 defense against the run. He only saw 5 carries last week, though. And I feel like this could be a game where the Chiefs just unleash their passing attack after a really bad offensive day. He had 21 carries the week before that. 89 yards, 2 touchdowns. He has a good ceiling. I think you can start Daryl Williams. I would probably start Daryl Williams. But Khalil Herbert's also locked in for volume. He's just on a much worse team. The Bears are, by the way, if there's one week for the Bears to break out, isn't it the week without Matt Nagy? And I do hope Matt Nagy gets better soon. He's out with COVID this week, so he will not be coaching the Bears. And this could be the week where we're like, oh, yeah, Matt Nagy's definitely getting fired because the Bears do well without Matt Nagy. That's going to look very bad for Matt Nagy. But, yeah, Khalil Herbert's also just locked into volume. Even when the Bears are losing, they just keep running the ball. They refuse to run a play-action pass. Justin Fields is dominating on play-action this season, and the Bears just refuse to run play-action. If there's one rookie quarterback, by the way, that I'm really not concerned about long-term, it's Justin Fields. Justin Fields, I think, can still have a very, very good NFL career, despite a really bad start. All right, let's get back to some of the questions in the chat. Good morning, Sam. Robert Woods, Khalil Herbert, Elijah Mitchell, flex PPR. Yeah, Robert Woods. I think you got to go Robert Woods in a PPR league. I think the other 2 guys are safer, though. Khalil Herbert and Elijah Mitchell, all these running backs. Khalil Herbert, Elijah Mitchell, Daryl Williams, Devonte Booker, Kenny Gainwell. All 5 of these guys were not drafted in fantasy football. But all of them should see at least 15 touches today. Or this week if they're playing Monday. So they have a good floor. But I think Robert Woods' ceiling is higher. Hey, Sam. Need help on this one. DJ Moore, A.J. Brown. Yeah, you absolutely cannot be benching A.J. Brown. If you've been watching the Titans games the last few weeks, then you understand A.J. Brown is in your starting lineup for the entire rest of the season. The entire rest of the season. And don't get me wrong, I love DJ Moore. Let me pull up my wide receivers really quickly. I think I have DJ Moore ahead of AJ Brown in these rankings, but I still would go AJ Brown. I like AJ Brown for the rest of the season in your starting lineup. AJ Brown's back. He's healthy. He's gotten rid of the stomach concerns. I think he took our advice from the previous live and got a personal chef. He's seen 9 targets in back-to-back weeks. Basically every healthy game, every game where A.J. Brown's played at least 2/3 of the snaps, he's seen at least 8 targets. He's got back-to-back games over 90 yards. It's not necessarily a great matchup for him this week. It is a pretty good matchup for DJ Moore. But yeah, I want to start both these guys. I have DJ Moore as a top 5 receiver this week. I still just don't feel good about benching A.J. Brown. But yeah, good job getting a stacked wide receiver group. How's Mike Evans going to perform? Mike Evans and Chris Godwin are just locks right now with Antonio Brown out. Gronk is questionable to return this week. Looks like he's going to return. Yeah, but Mike Evans and Chris Godwin, they have some of the best floor ceiling combinations in fantasy football right now. So I think he's going to perform well. I mean, he's seeing just so much volume around the goal line too. Evan Ingram or Ricky Seals-Jones? Yeah, I'd probably go Ricky Seals-Jones. Bunch of receivers back for the Giants this week. What do you think about Odell this week? Yeah, you can't be starting Odell Beckham Jr. right now. There's just way too much risk with Odell. Like, he's one of the few guys that you can pretty comfortably bench in fantasy right now. He's good. We know he's good. He's also injured, though. Like, he's clearly not 100%. He's had under 6 fantasy points 3 of his last 4 games. He hasn't played 60% of the snaps in each of his last 2 games. He saw 6 targets last week. He turned that into 2 catches, 23 yards. That's his floor. He could end this week with less than 25 yards. I also do think this is going to be a massive Nick Chubb week. This is Nick Chubb week, guys. Kareem Hunt's out. Dearness Johnson's going to take some of Kareem Hunt's role because he played well last week. But Nick Chubb is locked in to the goal line work for the Browns. That's why I think Nick Chubb, I don't think you should build any lineups in DraftKings FanDuel this week. The 2 guys that honestly I'm locking into pretty much every lineup that I made on DraftKings and that I made on FanDuel this week are Nick Chubb and Devonte Smith. Like, you got to have Nick Chubb in your lineup because he has such a safe floor, but also he could easily finish as the number 1 overall running back on the slate this week. Like, his ceiling's really high. And then Devonte Smith's ceiling is also just astronomical. Like, Devonte Smith, Nick Chubb could win fantasy matchups on their own this week. That's exactly why you got to play it. All right, we're getting back to some of the questions. We're going to go rapid fire in the comment section on YouTube and TikTok. Guys, we're live on TikTok and YouTube right now. Link is in the TikTok bio to the YouTube, where you can see my top 10 wide receivers, running backs, quarterbacks, tight ends. Let me pull up the tight ends. Don't think I've showed those yet. Hashtag revenge game for Hunter Henry this week against the Chargers. Definitely some revenge games to monitor. Locks for week 8. Yeah, let me pull up my locks for week 8. Rated. My picks against the spread. OBJ or Waddle? I would probably go Waddle. I don't want to start Odell Beckham Jr. Help. Risky decision. Do I start Kadarius Toney with injury on Monday or Khalil Herbert for today or Tyler Lockett? Definitely don't start Tyler Lockett. And, like, I don't feel like I feel like me telling everyone to bench Tyler Lockett every week with Russell Wilson out is going to end up backfiring eventually, right? Like, Tyler Lockett's probably going to have some massive 30-point game, even with Geno Smith at some point. But good luck guessing what week that is. In every other week that doesn't happen, he's going to go under 10 fantasy points, and he's going to be a complete bust. So this is just what you're dealing with Tyler Lockett right now. With Geno, you don't want to play Tyler Lockett. So I wouldn't play Tyler Lockett in this situation. I think Khalil Herbert is a safe play. Like, he really is. He's going to see at least 15 carries. And he's done well. He rushed for over 100 yards against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the only running back to do that this season. So also when you think about that, like, that's got to give you some confidence in Khalil Herbert. Like, what else could he have done to give you confidence in him? Miles Sanders had 56 yards against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Zeke had 33 yards against the Tampa. Most teams just haven't even tried to run. Damian Harris had -4 yards against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So yeah, I think Khalil Herbert's not a bad play at all this week. He's seen 3 straight weeks with at least 18 carries. That is the volume you want in fantasy football. And he gets the 49ers today, who really haven't been that good on defense. So, yeah, I think I would go Khalil Herbert, honestly. I like Kadarius Toney a lot, too. I think Kadarius Toney has a good ceiling. But if you have a guy on your team getting at least 18 carries this week, then you go with Khalil Herbert. You go with him over Kenny Gainwell as well. Kenneth Gainwell. I think his official name's Kenneth, but most people call him Kenny. But yeah, I would go Khalil Herbert. I think Khalil Herbert's a solid running back too this week. Estimated points for Derrick Henry this week. Yeah, Derrick Henry's going off every week. I'd say estimated points, put him at like 25. His over-under, Derrick Henry's over-under, if you wanted to wager on how many rushing yards Derrick Henry was going to have every single week, he is over 100. Like, it's in the hundreds every week. It's 110, I think, this week. He's going to be the first running back since Jim Brown, like 30-plus years ago, to average over 100 rushing yards per game in 3 consecutive seasons. We are witnessing greatness with Derrick Henry, man. It really is. We are just witnessing greatness. We got to just enjoy it. DraftKings lineup. Yeah, really quickly. DraftKings lineup. Gaskin versus Buffalo or Melvin Gordon versus Washington. Yuck. I would probably go Gaskin in that situation. All right. Here's my DraftKings lineup really quickly. Sam Darnold at quarterback. I think he's going to have a bounce-back day against the Falcons. And he is the best value play quarterback on the slate, though I do want to play Jalen Hurts. I just couldn't afford him in this line. Nick Chubb at running back. This is big Nick Chubb week. I have Nick Chubb and Devonte Smith in every single lineup this week. Nick Chubb at running back, along with James Robinson against the Seahawks. Deebo Samuel, Devonte Smith in at wide receiver. Michael Pittman, my third receiver. Tyler Higbee, my tight end. Higbee's up against a Texans defense that's allowed 6 touchdowns to tight ends this season in 7 games. Higbee leading the entire league at the tight end position in red zone targets per game. So I think he's a lock for a touchdown this week, or at least has a very good chance of one. And then Kenneth Gainwell in the flex slot at the running back position. Lock him in as well as the best receiving back the Eagles have on the team. And there's no Miles Sanders this week. Miles Sanders, I think, actually just sent to IR. And then I went with Bills defense against the Dolphins. Good morning, Gibson or Moss. Zach Moss did well against the Dolphins. This Bills-Dolphins game is super interesting because they've already played this season, and it was not a good game. The Bills destroyed them 35-0. And we shouldn't expect a 35, maybe it was 25. I think it was 35 to 0. We shouldn't expect that type of game, but it could easily turn into that. The Bills are the best team in the AFC as far as I'm concerned. They have a top 5 offense, but they also have a top 10 defense. This is the big difference between the Chiefs and the Bills. This is why I picked the Bills to beat the Chiefs when they played. The Bills have a good defense. The Chiefs don't. The Chiefs have a very bad defense. And the Bills' defense is the reason why this game is very difficult from a fantasy football perspective, with a lot of good offensive weapons for the Bills. And Zach Moss did well against the Dolphins last time. The Dolphins really have a bottom 5 rushing defense in the NFL. So yeah, I think Zach Moss is playable this week, even though he didn't do well last week. But I was thinking Antonio Gibson is playable this week too. He's not even on the injury report. He's also locked in to at least 15 touches, and he hasn't been a very big part of the passing game. But I still think he is going to be a big part of the running game in what should be a close game, but the Broncos aren't really a good matchup. So I'd probably go Zach Moss. I think Zach Moss is the play. Yeah, I was right. It was 35-0. They also beat the Texans 40-0. Top 5 offense, top 10 defense. The Bills are legit Super Bowl contenders this season. Zach Moss had 14 points last time he played the Miami Dolphins, though he was out-carried by Devin Singletary in that game. And I think he was out-carried by Devin Singletary last week, too. No, maybe not. Devin Singletary had 5 carries. Zach Moss had 8. The thing about the Bills, though, is like they are very aggressive passing the ball, which is very smart by them. And so even when they have a lead, they won't just pound the ball on the ground. Zach Moss or Jerry Judy? Oh, Malik. I think I would go with Jerry Judy over Zach Moss. And this is my instinct to go with ceiling over floor, because the floor is definitely higher for Zach Moss. Hey, Sam, must-win week, Dak or Hurts? My league gives bonus points for lots of passing yards. Yes, Nick, we're operating under the assumption that Dak Prescott isn't even playing this week. So definitely Jalen Hurts. Definitely Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts has a really good matchup. Jalen Hurts has gotten over 20 points every single week this season. The only quarterback to do that in most leagues. So, yeah, definitely Jalen Hurts. I'm 6-1 from you helping me out and using the app. Joey, that's what I'm talking about, man. That is what I'm talking about. But Joey, do not celebrate too soon. Guys, if you are in the top of your standings in fantasy football, do not celebrate too soon because we have not reached the goal yet. The goal is to win your fantasy football league. And to do that, you got to dominate in the fantasy football playoffs. So we still got a long ways to go. Mike Evans or Mike Williams this week, full PPR. The two Mikes, really, they play very similarly now too. Personally, though, I think this one is the answer to this one is Mike Evans for me. I think Mike Evans is the safer option. But then you look at the matchups, and Mike Evans up against Marshawn Lattimore, who really has done well against Mike Evans historically. So I think Mike Evans is the riskiest Tampa Bay option this week. I think Chris Godwin is extremely safe. And then you look at the matchup for Mike Williams against the New England Patriots. And the Patriots really haven't been that good of a secondary this season. Though I do think also this week for the Chargers, Keenan Allen is in a better matchup against the Patriots than Mike Williams. But we've seen a lot of receivers do well against the Patriots. So I think I would go Mike Williams. But honestly, I think both guys carry some risk. I'm nervous about Marshawn Lattimore, though I am. All right, let me pull up my receiver rankings really quickly. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for tuning in. Guys, if you're watching live on YouTube, hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button. If you're watching live on TikTok, they added a like button on TikTok too. You can just tap the screen, send some likes. I do appreciate that. When we get to 200 likes on the YouTube live, I do have a free prop pick for you all today that I like a lot. We've already talked about the guy a lot on the stream too. Damian Harris or Chuba Hubbard. Yeah, I'd go Chuba Hubbard for sure. Again, I like Damian Harris has a good matchup this week. The Chargers have allowed the second most rushing yards per game to running backs this season. They really are not a good running defense. And teams have exploited that. And we should expect the Patriots to exploit that too. But it's much harder to exploit when the Patriots are losing by a lot against the Chargers. I think the Patriots are such a difficult team to predict this season. I really do think the Patriots could beat every team in the NFL, but they also could lose to any team in the NFL. Maybe not the Jets after last week. So we can cross the Jets out. They almost lost to the Texans. And you look back, the start of 2021, the Patriots have 4 wins. 4 wins. 3 of those wins were against the Jets. They've already beat them twice this season. They beat them in the last game of last season. And then they also beat the Houston Texans. That's their 4 wins. That's the 4 wins for the Patriots. So, Patriots fans, how are you feeling good right now? I really don't understand it. Who have the Patriots beaten to make us feel at all good? And I know they've been in close games. They should have beaten the Miami Dolphins in week 1. They should have beaten the Dallas Cowboys. And this week, it could be a similar story. I think Chuba Hubbard, though, is a really good play. The Falcons defense also isn't good. So both these guys have good matchups. Bridgewater or Tannehill? Definitely Tannehill. You got to go Tannehill. Always one drive away. Yeah, I know. It's crazy. It's just brutal. It's just brutal, Patriots fans. It's brutal. They could beat the Chargers. They could beat any team. But you got to actually win the games. Being in close games is not enough in the NFL. No, I've not done the free prop pick yet. Goddard or Higbee? It's Higbee week, man. Goddard's a better play than Higbee. Let me pull up my tight ends again really quickly. But it is Tyler Higbee week. Higbee's, again, leading the NFL in red zone targets per game at the tight end position. He's up against the Texans defense that's allowed six tight end touchdowns that by far leads the league. I think the next highest is 4. So, yeah, I'd like Higbee to score a TD today. I do. And I still probably wouldn't start him over Dallas Goddard, though. Dallas Goddard without Zach Ertz is just locked into a really good role. Again, the Lions are not very good. They have a lot of undrafted rookies playing defense for them. Haven't done the free prop pick yet, though. When we get to 200 likes on the YouTube Live, we're live on TikTok and YouTube right now, guys. And when we get to 200 likes on the YouTube Live, smash the like button. Smash the subscribe button, too, if you're watching live on TikTok or YouTube. I got a free prop free prop pick that I'm really liking today. We're only 50% on the free props on these lives, but we are over 55% in the WalterPicks app on the props this season, over 60% in lifetime picks in the WalterPicks app. And I like this one a lot. I got a lock for us today. Too many moral victories, and it makes me sick. It's time to get a real win in New England. Yeah, 100%. The Patriots need a real win. They need a real win. Please. They've beaten the Jets 3 times in their last 4 wins, and the other win was against the Texans. Like, a real win, please. Any update on Eckler? Yeah, Eckler actually last night, like late last night, posted, I think it was on Instagram. I saw it on Twitter, though, that he's starting himself in his own fantasy league and that he's playing. So he's playing. Yeah, and you got to play him. Though I will say, this does feel eerily similar to, I think it was last season, when Keenan Allen said, "Play me in fantasy football." I think he tweeted, "Play me in fantasy." And then he went out and like barely played and had, I think, 0 points or very close to 0 points. So hopefully that's not the case for Austin Eckler, who's telling people to play him in fantasy. But the news came right from Eckler himself. So, I mean, I think you got to start Austin Eckler. Hey, Sam, love the channel. Thanks, man. Jared Cook or Ricky Seals-Jones? Yeah, Jared Cook, Ricky Seals-Jones. The tight end decisions are bleak, man. They are bleak. But you got to go with Ricky Seals-Jones, I think, over Jared Cook. I think Jared Cook's floor is even lower than Ricky Seals-Jones' floor. Though, don't get me wrong, they're both really, really low floors. But Ricky Seals-Jones has actually been not bad in terms of the volume standpoint. And the Patriots, I think, haven't been very bad against tight ends either. I can pull that up really quickly, though. Pick 3, Chuba Hubbard, Najee Harris. Can we stop getting questions about Najee Harris? You got to start Najee Harris. And Jonathan Taylor's in this question, too. Come on. Yeah, it's the last 3. You got to bench Chuba Hubbard for Najee Harris, Jonathan Taylor, Darrell Henderson. Those are all top 10 running backs this week. Najee Harris, though, Najee Harris is seeing the best workload in the NFL at the running back position. So, like, he has to be in your lineup. Same thing with Jonathan Taylor. He's gone over 100 yards, I think, 3 straight weeks. Like, yeah, get him in your lineup. Same thing with Darrell Henderson, too, against the Texans. All 3 of those guys, you've got to start. And circling back on this Jared Cook, Ricky Seals-Jones question, the Patriots have actually been the second best defense in the NFL against tight ends. So, yeah, do not play Jared Cook. Do not play Jared Cook. Jared Cook actually scored 2 touchdowns the last 3 weeks. But, yeah, don't play Jared Cook. This is not the Jared Cook week. Ricky Seals-Jones, on the other hand, he's seen at least 6 targets in 3 straight weeks. Yeah, you got to go Ricky Seals-Jones here. 100%. Ricky Seals-Jones. Sutton or T? Yeah, T. Higgins. 15 targets last week. 15. Pretty insane. And with Jamar Chase balling out, it would make sense for some regression back to T. Higgins. T. Higgins is very good. I feel like T. Higgins is really getting overshadowed this season because Jamar Chase is just so good. Like, Jamar Chase, basically already the rookie of the year. He is on a really good pace to break Justin Jefferson's record. It's almost like Jamar Chase was a better college receiver than Justin Jefferson when they were on the same team. We talked about this before the NFL season, and I actually built a machine learning model for rookie wide receivers this year. And Jamar Chase ranked the best historically ever in the model. Like, if you went back the last 3 years, he ranked ahead of CeeDee Lamb. The nice thing about building models for stuff like that is you can compare it to years past and see how guys match up. And Jamar Chase was the top of the model. So I'm feeling pretty good about that model now because Jamar Chase is just insane. But yeah, I would go T. Higgins over Courtland Sutton. And Sutton does get a pretty big bump down now that Jerry Judy's back. It should lower the ceiling for Courtland Sutton. Melvin Gordon or Mike Davis. Oh, man. I knew someone was going to bring up Mike Davis. Mike Davis is also in a hashtag revenge game this week, guys, against the Carolina Panthers. Mike Davis revenge game, Hunter Henry revenge game. Let me know in the comments if I'm missing any more revenge games this week, because those are a couple sneaky ones. But how could you start Mike Davis this week? How could we start Mike Davis this week after what happened last week? It's a very difficult week to be starting Mike Davis. And honestly, I still think I would consider him over Melvin Gordon. They're favorites. The Falcons are favorites, 3.5-point favorites against the Panthers. He played 62% of the snaps last week, which is like right on pace with kind of what he's done this season. He's played over 60% of the snaps in all but one game this season, but he only had 4 carries. He also ran 22 routes, but didn't hit a single target. He had 10 total yards. He had 1 point. So, yeah, I think it's obviously a risk. But he's still going to see, like, I don't think all of a sudden Mike Davis is just, like, done. I think we're going to see pretty similar results for Mike Davis for the rest of the season as what he's done in most of his games this season, which is more than 10 carries in almost every game. He's seen multiple targets in every game except for last week. He's gotten over 10 points in every single game this season except for last week. I would bet that Mike Davis goes over 10 points again this week. I think his over-under is really low, too. I think I saw it at like 33.5 rushing yards or something. I don't hate that at all either. But Melvin Gordon split into carries, and I think the Broncos are favorites this week against Washington, too. So I think you almost have to go Melvin Gordon, but please, I really hope we do see a bounce-back week from Mike Davis. How about Boston Scott? Yeah, Boston Scott, sneaky play this week, too. Nobody's talking about Boston Scott. Kenneth Gainwell, getting all of the hype in the Eagles' backfield for good reason. I think Kenny Gainwell is better than Boston Scott. I think he's a better receiver than Boston Scott. Boston Scott's not bad, and Boston Scott actually is a pretty good receiver too. And he out-carried Kenneth Gainwell last week when Miles Sanders went down. So yeah, Boston Scott is playable this week. Again, they're playing the Lions, so I think all Eagles players are playable. I think the Eagles offensively are going to have a really good game. Myers or Patrick, PPR? Yeah, definitely Myers. And I don't like Myers this week. Chargers have been good against the receivers. I think second best in the league. But you can't be playing Tim Patrick with Jerry Judy returning. Hey, Sam, Thielen or Devonte Smith? PPR league. Yeah, everyone. Start Devonte Smith. Start Devonte Smith this week, man. Start Devonte Smith. Waddle or Myers? Yeah, Waddle over Myers for sure. Best tight end to trade for rest of season. I have Goddard. Yeah, it's Tyler Higbee. And I actually think Goddard's not bad rest of the season either. I have, if you see the tight end rankings below on the YouTube Live, if you're watching live on TikTok, link is in the bio for the YouTube Live. And you get a little bit more information on the YouTube Live, like my top 10 rankings at tight end. And Dallas Goedert's the top 5 tight end for me this week. No Zach Ertz is big for Dallas Goedert. But the other guy that I think is being overlooked at the tight end position is Tyler Higbee, who is leading the NFL in red zone targets per game. Can you show top 10 running backs? Yeah, I actually have 11 top 10 running backs this week. I could not fit in 10, so I had to put in 11. And I think it's going to be a big Nick Chubb week. I think Nick Chubb, Darrell Henderson, both really, really good plays. I still have Austin Eckler in there, even though he's dealing with an injury. And then Zeke also slid in there at the end. I'm nervous about the Cowboys offense a little bit without Dak, but I think if there's one guy to feel good about still, it's Zeke. Callaway or Raymond? I love these deep brothers in space. Yeah, we are in space. We are in space today, guys. I think I would go Raymond. I think he's just getting more volume. Like I would expect more targets for Raymond this week. Though Callaway against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, that game, it's tough. The Saints game is really tough to predict this week too, because the Saints up against the Buccaneers, this is not a good matchup for the Saints. I think the Buccaneers destroy the Saints, by the way. But the Saints don't like throwing the ball. Jameis Winston really has not thrown the ball very often this season. They want to be a run-first team. They actually just traded for the corpse of Mark Ingram, which actually is pretty cool that Mark Ingram is going to get to end his career with the Saints. Callaway's seen 7+ targets back-to-back weeks. Yeah, honestly, I think I changed my mind. I think you got to go Callaway. I think you have to go Callaway. Against the Bucs, the Bucs are going to put up points against the Saints. By the way, we haven't talked at all about what happened on Thursday night. The Packers versus the Cardinals. We did have the Packers plus 6.5. So we've been pretty good against the spread this season. We're over 58% against the spread, which is just insane. Every week I would keep waiting for this to go down. Picking against the spread is not easy. And I do like the Buccaneers this week against the spread too. So, yeah, I think Callaway. I would go Callaway. All right, Gainwell or Lockett. Yeah, don't start Lockett. Lockett's, I think, a must-bench player moving forward until Russell Wilson returns. Kadarius Toney. Kadarius Toney is startable this week. He's going to play. He's questionable. Sterling Shepard also questionable, but they're both trending in a very good direction. In worst case scenario, you start Kadarius Toney and he doesn't play, just go add Dante Pettis Monday night, which isn't a great fill-in. But no, I think Kadarius Toney is going to play. Fantasy lineup, please help. Warriors, Anthony. My DraftKings lineup today. Sam Darnold at quarterback. I do like Sam Darnold this week against the Falcons. They're 3.5-point underdogs against the Falcons. It's one of my favorite spreads of the week. I think the Panthers beat the Falcons. Nick Chubb at running back. It's Nick Chubb week, guys. There's no Kareem Hunt. There's no Kareem Hunt this week. He's on IR. Nick Chubb back, not even on the injury report. Nick Chubb's going to see at least 20 carries. He's going to see all the goal line work for the Browns against the Steelers. And the Browns are favored against the Steelers. James Robinson against the Seattle Seahawks. Deebo Samuel, Devonte Smith, Michael Pittman, Tyler Higbee, Kenneth Gainwell, and Bills defense. That's the DraftKings lineups today. And I need a win, by the way, in this head-to-head DraftKings league. If you've been following from the start of the season, I'm 4-3 heading into week 8. Not good enough. It's not good enough in this head-to-head DraftKings league where there's 62 teams in this league. High stakes head-to-head DraftKings league. I got to pull out a win this week. That's exactly why I'm going with Nick Chubb and Devonte Smith. Hey, Sam, been a long-time fan. Thanks, man. But who do I start? Elijah Mitchell or Devonte Booker? The app is telling you to start Elijah Mitchell. Thank you for using the app, by the way, guys. If you haven't tried out the WalterPicks app yet in the iOS App Store, you got to try it out. I spent over 10,000 hours of my life helping build this app for you all. It's going to give you all the best fantasy football insights that you could possibly need to make all the decisions in fantasy. But there's always more to consider. So we have Elijah Mitchell versus Devonte Booker. The app is saying Mitchell. I think I would go Mitchell here too. The Giants are 10-point underdogs against the Chiefs. So this isn't a week that bodes very well for Devonte Booker. I think I would go Devonte Booker. I think I would go Devonte Booker on the bench. I would go Elijah Mitchell here. Yes, be confident in Zeke, he said. Yeah, I did say that. I think Zeke is the one guy you can still be confident in for the Cowboys. I still think CeeDee Lamb too. CeeDee Lamb, Jerry Judy, or T. Higgins. Yeah, I would still go CeeDee Lamb. Even though I'm not expecting Dak Prescott to play this week. Gainwell or Herbert. Yeah, I like Herbert more. I like Herbert more than Gainwell. There's a lot of fringe running backs that are producing fantasy points this week. We got Kenneth Gainwell. We got Khalil Herbert, who to me is not really a fringe guy anymore. He's going to see 18 carries. He went over 100 yards against the Bucs, which is huge. It's got to give you tons of confidence in Khalil Herbert. Like, what else can Khalil Herbert do to give you confidence? He went over 100 yards against a top 3 rushing defense in the league that really most teams don't even try to run against, which just shows you how much the Bears want to run, despite always trailing, because they're like, oh, God. And again, I think this could be the week where everyone really understands that Matt Nagy is going to be out of Chicago this season. The Bears without Matt Nagy today. But yeah, no, I think you got to start CeeDee Lamb and Zeke still. All the other Cowboys players, I think that you can really strongly consider benching. Hey, Sam, thoughts on Mike Evans this week? Yeah, I'm nervous for Mike Evans. I am nervous for Mike Evans against Marshawn Lattimore. I think Mike Evans is the only risky Tampa Bay Buccaneers player this whole week. Good morning, Sam. Good morning, man. It doesn't feel like morning to me. I've been up since, I think, 5 a.m., rewatching every single game from the past week, making sure we have the best advice I could possibly give on this live stream. Pick one: Chuba Hubbard, Brandon Cooks, Michael Pittman, or Kadarius Toney. Yeah, I like to lean towards Chuba Hubbard here. Brandon Cooks against the Rams, another revenge game. There we go. We got three revenge games we've called out so far this week. Brandon Cooks against the Rams, Hunter Henry against the Chargers. Missing one. I forget what the third one was now. It was a good one, though. Oh, it was Mike Davis. It was Mike Davis against the Panthers. That's what it was. Brandon Cooks, Mike Davis, Hunter Henry. Revenge games this week. But I think I would go Chuba Hubbard here against the Falcons. I think that Chuba Hubbard is going to see at least 15 touches against a Falcons defense that's allowed the 8th most fantasy points per game to running backs this season. I like Pittman this week too. I'm actually starting Pittman in my DraftKings lineup. But when it comes to receivers versus running backs almost always have the safer floor because they're just locked into volume. And that's what you want. So yeah, I would go Chuba Hubbard. Shepard or Cooper? Yeah, I would go Shepard over Amari Cooper this week. Again, I'm nervous about Amari Cooper. I'm nervous about the Cowboys offense in general. I feel better about CeeDee Lamb than Amari Cooper. And Shepard has been really good when he's played. And I do expect Shepard to play. And again, we're not expecting Dak Prescott to play this week. Devonte Smith, Alex Collins, or Kenneth Gainwell. It's Devonte Smith, guys. He is locked into every lineup. You got to lock him into every single lineup. You need to start Devonte Smith. All right, so my favorite spreads this week, the Panthers, 3.5-point underdogs against the Falcons. The Eagles are only 3-point favorites against the Lions. I mean, Vegas really not feeling very good about the Eagles. I think the Eagles are going to destroy the Lions, though. I don't know how you could not expect the Eagles to destroy the Lions. Need to drop one to get Judy off IR. Oh, man. Oh, yeah, you got to drop David Johnson. Even though David Johnson could get more work than Michael Carter, Michael Carter is just a younger, more talented player than David Johnson right now. Hey, Sam, back as always. Ridley or Devonte Smith, half PPR. Yeah, Carson. You got to start Devonte Smith this week, but probably not over Calvin Ridley. Though Calvin Ridley does have a tough matchup. Stephon Gilmore back this week for the first time this season for the Carolina Panthers. We're going to see Stephon Gilmore play. Schultz or Gesicki? Yeah, I think I would probably go Schultz. I got to change the TikTok live. It says Thursday night, so I'm going to come back to the TikTok live really quickly. Let me pull this up. Let's get to some of the YouTube comments really quickly. Eli and Peyton, the greatest commentators. Yeah, I have not actually watched the Manning stream yet, but I've heard it's very good, and I've seen clips of it. All right, sit one. Ridley, Amari, or Keenan, or Emmanuel Sanders. I would probably sit Amari or Sanders here. All right, we're going to go back on the TikTok live. Amari Cooper or Chuba Hubbard? It's Chuba Hubbard. Again, Dak Prescott's not playing. I don't think Dak Prescott's going to play. So I don't think Dak Prescott's playing. And that's not good news for Amari Cooper. In what would have been a shootout game. I mean, we talked about it Thursday night. But the Cowboys-Viking game was shaping up as one of the best games of the season. And now Dak Prescott's not playing. So, yeah, you got to go Chuba Hubbard. And Chuba Hubbard's in a good matchup this week. Chuba Hubbard disappointed a little bit last week, but he has pretty good touchdown upside this week against a Falcons defense that's allowing the 8th most fantasy points per game to running backs. Herbert or Gainwell in PPR? It's got to be Herbert. It's got to be Khalil Herbert over Gainwell. Daryl Williams versus Gainwell. I think that one's a little bit closer. And I think that one is also Daryl Williams. I like Kenneth Gainwell. Don't get me wrong. I like Kenneth Gainwell. I like the Eagles today to beat the Lions. They're one of my locks this week. But Boston Scott's going to be involved. And Khalil Herbert really is the backfield all to himself. 18-plus carries this week he's going to see. And he just went over 100 yards against the Bucs. Standard scoring, Burrow's your QB. You got T. Higgins versus Kenneth Gainwell. Yeah, standard scoring does change things a little bit there. And in standard scoring league, running backs are more valuable and more consistent. T. Higgins saw 15 targets last week, though. I think if you want it, like especially if you have Joe Burrow, playing T. Higgins is really like a weak winning upside move, right? When you stack players, it increases your ceiling, but it lowers your floor, right? Because they're correlated together. One does well, they both probably did well. one does bad, they both probably did bad. That's what correlation is. 15 targets last week for T. Higgins. He only had 13 points, though, in a PPR league. But no, I do think T. Higgins could score a TD this week. I'd still probably go Kenneth Gainwell, though. Personally, I would go Kenneth Gainwell in a standard league. Who are three of the guys? Should I start at flex? Manny Sanders, Judy, or Tony? I would probably go Kadarius Toney. And I think I would go Daryl Williams over Kenneth Gainwell, too. The Chiefs are 10-point favorites against the Giants. And the Giants have not been good against running backs this season. Guys, if you're watching live on TikTok, if you're watching live on YouTube, hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button. When we get to 200 likes, we got a free prop pick of the day. Happy Halloween. Best holiday of the season. Best holiday of the season. Best holiday of the season. I think we got some people in my fantasy league, which I'm in second to last place right now in this fantasy league. That I think a lot of the leagues in the live right now. I'm in second to last place. I have the second most points in the league. Absolutely brutal sometimes in fantasy. And I drafted Christian McCaffrey. First overall. I still have the second most points in the league, and I'm still in 11th out of 12th place, and not a league you want to come in last. Very brutal last place punishment. Devonte Smith or Cortland Sutton. Guys, you got to start Devonte Smith this week. You have to start Devonte Smith this week against the Lions. The best games, it's really been a tale of two seasons for the Eagles. When they play bad defenses, the offense does well. Jalen Hurts has completed over 60% of his passes in almost every game against the bottom 10 defense. And Devonte Smith also has really balled out in almost every game against bad defenses. The one exception, I think, was the Cowboys game or maybe the Buccaneers game. It was the Buccaneers game, I think. If you ignore the Buccaneers game for a second, you look at Jalen Hurts against bad defenses. Week 1, 77% completion percentage, over 250 yards, almost 30 fantasy points. Week 3 against the Cowboys, 64% completion percentage, over 300 yards. And then week 4 against the Chiefs, over 65% completion percentage. He really is much better against bad defenses. And this is not a good defense for the Lions. They're up against mostly in the secondary undrafted rookie cornerbacks. So yeah, you got to start Devonte Smith. Devonte Smith is going to feast this week, guys. Damian Harris or Keenan Allen in a PPR league. Guys, the Patriots have won 4 games since the start of the year 2021. 3 of those games were against the New York Jets. They've won 4 games since the start of this calendar year. 3 of them were against the Jets. 1 of them was against the Texans. And they've been in a lot of close games, man. I get it. The Patriots have had a lot of moral victory laps, but not real victories. And so I think that's bad news for Damian Harris. But Damian Harris also gets a good matchup this week against the Chargers, who have allowed the second most rushing yards per game in the NFL. And Damian Harris is pretty much a lock for 15 carries. The Patriots want to run the ball. They are a run-first team. So I think I'd go Damian Harris. But I am just a pessimistic Patriots fan this week and most weeks. Player prop. Yeah, so when we get 200 likes on the YouTube Live, I'm not sure what we're at right now. I can pull this up. When we get to 200 likes on the YouTube Live, I got a free prop pick of the day. And I'm feeling really good about this prop pick. So smash the like button if you're watching live on YouTube. We are almost at 100 likes. Smash that like button. I do appreciate it. We got more than 100 people tuned in right now. Guys, watching live on TikTok too. Come to the YouTube Live. We got more info for you on the YouTube Live. Top 10 quarterbacks, running backs, wide receivers, tight ends, picks against the spread on the YouTube Live that you can't see on the TikTok Live because TikTok doesn't have that feature yet. So come to the YouTube Live, man. All right, let me pull up my top 10 quarterbacks of the week. Jalen Hurts, you'll find at number 3, ahead of Kyler Murray, who was at number 4. He had a really, really tough Thursday night game. Better stream QB, Teddy or Heineke? I don't really love either of those guys, but I'd probably go Teddy over Heineke. Tony or Gainwell? Yeah, I think I'd go Kadarius Toney over Gainwell also. Fournette definitely over Gainwell as well. Feels like I'm telling a lot of people to bench Gainwell this week, which was not my intention this morning when I woke up. I like Kenny Gainwell. I think he's a good receiver. I'm starting him in my DraftKings lineup, but I like Khalil Herbert more than Kenneth Gainwell. I like Leonard Fournette more than Kenny Gainwell. I think I like Daryl Williams more than Kenny Gainwell. So, I think in most of these decisions is really coming down to just having other good options. Mike Williams or Keenan Allen? I like Keenan Allen more than Mike Williams this week. I think this matchup is better for Keenan Allen than it is for Mike Williams. Thoughts on Gronk this week? Yeah, I would not start Gronk. I would not want to start Gronk this week. I don't like starting guys after long absences of injury. But that being said, if he's playing this week, like you gotta believe he's healthy. So I think there's a ceiling there, but the floor to me is really low. And especially for a guy like Gronk, who has a really long history of injuries, like there's so much incentive for the Buccaneers to bring him back slowly. They have other good tight ends. OJ Howard and Cameron Brate, they're not on Gronk's level, but they're not terrible. It's not like you're going to lose if you give OJ Howard and Cameron Brate half the snaps to ease Gronk back in, which is exactly what they'll probably do. So I think you got to be cautious with Gronk this week. Pittman or Judy? Yeah, it's got to be Pittman. And I like Judy's ceiling this week. I'm pumped to see Jerry Judy. We started the live stream on Jerry Judy. But I'm cautious about starting Jerry Judy in his first game back. And Pittman's been balling out. And Pittman has a really, really good matchup against the Titans, who've allowed the second most fantasy points per game to receivers this season. So Pittman's really looking like a very good option, even with T.Y. Hilton likely to return this week. Happy Halloween, guys. We're going off to space today. We are going off to space. We are going to watch Devonte Smith destroy the Detroit Lions today. And it's exactly why you have to start Devonte Smith in almost every single situation. I think the only player I've recommended today, the only one to start over Devonte Smith, I think was Calvin Ridley. And even that might not be a good call. So yeah, I'd go Devonte Smith over T. Higgins. Keenan Allen or Brandon Cooks, definitely Keenan Allen in the TikTok chat. Guys, if you're watching live on TikTok, if you're watching live on YouTube, thank you so much for tuning in. Really, I do appreciate any amount of time you spend in the live streams. I appreciate it. I think time is the most valuable thing. I say this on every live stream because I think it's important. I think time is very valuable. So thank you for spending some time with me on this amazing Sunday morning. Halloween and football at the same time. But Thanksgiving is my favorite holiday of the year, partly because of football. Family, football, it's just the best. Halloween, I think, close second this year. Gaskin, Booker, or Carter? Oh, God. I don't like starting Gaskin. I don't want to start Gaskin. I don't know how you could want to start Myles Gaskin. So, yeah, I think I'll go Carter in that situation. Thoughts on Freiermuth? Probably didn't say that name correctly because I'm horrible at pronouncing names. Like, probably the worst of all people that talk about football. I'm horrible at pronouncing names. I usually don't listen to games with the sound up. But I do like Pat Freiermuth this week. And I'll probably have to learn to pronounce his name correctly after a big week this week. He actually was very involved before the Steelers bye. He was very involved before the Steelers bye. And now Ebron's out this week. So we're going to see another 60% snap share. He had 7 targets in his last game against the Seahawks. 13 fantasy points in that game. I think he's a very solid tight end streamer. He's probably the best streamer. This is the rookie tight end for the Steelers, who's going to be in the tight end 1 slot for the Steelers this week. There's also no Juju, right? Juju out for the season. Juju probably done as a Steeler, period. So, yeah, you got to like Pat a lot this week. And I think that he is a solid tight end streamer. I think he's going for 50-plus yards. I think his prop is actually interesting too. I usually don't like tight end props because tight ends are just so bleak. Like the tight ends, all tight ends just have such a low floor. But I do think his prop is interesting. I think it's close to 30 yards. Like, I think he's going over 30 yards. So, yeah, no, I do like him. I think he's a very sneaky tight end play this week. Sanders, Kadarius Toney, or Jerry Judy? I would go Kadarius Toney over all of those guys. Kadarius Toney, guys, he is basically Percy Harvin reincarnated. And I don't know how many of you had the pleasure of watching Percy Harvin, who really ended up being kind of a bust in the NFL due to injuries. Hopefully that's not what we see with Kadarius Toney. But with the ball in his hands, Kadarius Toney is like Percy Harvin. One of the best after-the-catch receivers in the history of the game. So, yeah, I like Kadarius Toney a lot. And I don't think the Chiefs are at all scary on defense. I think the Chiefs have bottom 5 defense in the league. I think that's why the Chiefs are not Super Bowl contenders right now. It's a big problem for the Chiefs. Do you think Watson will be traded? Yeah. I'm glad someone brought up the Deshaun Watson thing. No, I don't think Deshaun Watson will be traded. I don't think we see – I honestly, if I had to guess, if we ever see Deshaun Watson play in the NFL again, I would say no. Like, I don't think we do. And I think I think right now it seems like it's closer to like a 50-50 thing, whether or not he even plays in the NFL again, period. But no, he's not going to get traded. If you've looked into the situation for Deshaun Watson, then you really do understand this is not a good situation for Deshaun Watson. And it feels like he thinks he has some sort of leverage because he's so good and he is a top 5 quarterback in the league. But the more you look into it and look at some of the details of the situation, the worse and worse and worse it gets for Deshaun Watson. So no, I honestly don't think we'll ever see him play again. And I would not count on him being traded this season. Because what team would trade for a player that has a good chance to never play again? Or at least, there's going to be at some point, some sort of suspension from the NFL. So that's like best case scenario almost for Deshaun. I'd be really surprised if we saw him play this season. Though I'm not saying this is like a definite thing because we know the NFL and the lengths the NFL will go to have their best players play. And he is one of the best players in the NFL. So I would not put it past the NFL to get Deshaun Watson back on the football field. But I personally just don't think the optics will be good. I don't think it's doable for the NFL. Do I pick up and start Bridgewater, Wentz, Lawrence, Daniel Jones, Sam Darnold? It's Daniel Jones, man. It's Daniel Jones. You got to start Daniel Jones. I like Sam Darnold too, more than Wentz and Bridgewater. But it's a great week to stream Daniel Jones against the Kansas City Chiefs. I feel like the sound is not good. Not good when this is down. The TikTok live also, the green screen is not working so well when the helmet is down like that. But yeah, no, I think this is a good Daniel Jones week. Allen Robinson or Cole Beasley? You can't start Allen Robinson, guys. It's so sad to say every week. Because I think in week 1, if you were in the live stream week 1, we made a rule. We actually made a rule that you weren't allowed to bench Allen Robinson. That's how good Allen Robinson is. If there's one thing Allen Robinson has taught us this season, it is that nobody in the NFL is quarterback proof. There's no such thing as quarterback proof. Allen Robinson is exhibit A of that. So yeah, don't start Allen Robinson. All right, let's get back to some of the questions in the chat really quickly. I want to talk high level, so just my thoughts of each of the games today. And if you come to the YouTube live, guys, we're live on TikTok and YouTube right now. Smash the like button on the YouTube live. Smash the subscribe button on the YouTube live too. If you're watching live on TikTok for the first time, guys, make sure you hit that follow button. We're putting out TikTok content every single day. We haven't missed a day of TikTok content in years, man, years. So hit the like button and the subscribe button on TikTok. But really quickly, let me just run through each of the games today because there's a lot of good games on our television screens coming up very soon. We're like an hour and a half away. The Dolphins are 14.5 point underdogs against the Bills. The last time they played, they lost 35-0. I've still taken the Dolphins plus 14.5 in this game. Tua actually has played better than I think he's getting credit for. Devontae Parker also back this week. But, I mean, yeah, the Bills are going to win this game. And you got to feel really good about every Bills player in your fantasy lineup this week. And for the Dolphins, really the only player you can feel good about is Jalen Waddle. But even him is not a lock. The Panthers +3. They're 3-point underdogs against the Atlanta Falcons. I think the Panthers win this game. Honestly, I saw this spread. I was pretty surprised. I know this game's in Atlanta. The Falcons have actually been playing better. It seems like two teams trending in opposite directions. But the NFL is a week-to-week game. And the Carolina Panthers have a more talented team than the Atlanta Falcons. And Sam Darnold's played some good football this season. He's struggled the last few weeks. And he's under some fire right now, too. Sam Darnold and Jalen Hurts are under some fire. But really, you're going to go to P.J. Walker and Gardner Minshew? What are we really talking about here, guys? Are we just making headlines to make headlines? Because Sam Darnold's not going to get benched for P.J. Walker. Long term. I mean, that would be pretty bleak for the Panthers. You can't win with P.J. Walker. Though he is fun to watch. And he is already rostered in the 32-person fantasy league, by the way. I've been starting to monitor the 30. I'm the commissioner of the 32-person WalterPicks fantasy league. I've been starting to monitor it a little bit more as we're getting closer and closer to playoffs for fantasy. And the waiver wire is just insanely bleak. P.J. Walker was already on the team. Mike White was already rostered in this league. Just crazy. The Eagles are only 3.5-point favorites against the Detroit Lions. The winless Detroit Lions are, according to Vegas, this is the best week they have to win. I don't think they've been this close to being favored yet this season. But I think the Eagles destroy the Lions this week. I really do think that Jalen Hurts and the Eagles, this has been a tale of two seasons for them. When they play bad defenses, the offense has been really good. Jalen Hurts has completed over 60% of his passes in every game against a bottom 10 passing defense. And then he's completed under 60% of his passes in every game that wasn't against a bottom 10 passing defense. So it's really a tale of two seasons when they play bad defenses, when they don't. In the Lions do not have a good defense, guys. I think they're well coached, but the talent is really just not there. So yeah, I'm going definitely Eagles destroying the Lions this week. Guys, we're live on TikTok and YouTube right now. Link is in the TikTok bio to come to the YouTube live, where you can see all my favorite picks against the spread, my top 10 quarterbacks, running backs, wide receivers, tight ends. All of that's in the YouTube live. If you're watching live on YouTube, guys, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. We're almost at 200 likes, which is when we are going to talk about the free player prop pick of the day. All right, really quickly running through some of these other games. The Rams are massive favorites against the Texans, but man, I mean, the Rams could easily win this game by 30 points. The Titans are projected to be in a close game against the Colts. I like the Titans more than the Colts right now. I don't know how people aren't feeling good about the Titans. A.J. Brown looking healthy. Derrick Henry is playing at a Hall of Fame level for the third straight season. And I know Carson Wentz is getting more healthy. Honestly, the Colts defense I don't think scares me as much as it probably should. But I think the Titans can beat the Colts. I think you need to start A.J. Brown. You need to start A.J. Brown. If you've been watching the Titans, I go back and I rewatch every single game at least once. And if you have just been watching those Titans games, then you got to understand. A.J. Brown's locked into your lineup for the rest of the season. He's gone over 90 yards back-to-back weeks, and he looks like the A.J. Brown of last season. And Julio Jones not playing again this week. Julio Jones really just is struggling at the end of his career to stay healthy. Ridley is out. Oh, no. Oh, no. I'm seeing multiple comments that saying Ridley's out. Let me pull this up. Actually have it right here. Let's see. I trust when I see multiple comments that usually something happens. And I'm not seeing anything about Calvin Ridley yet. That doesn't mean it's not true though. Let's take a look. Pull up Twitter. Twitter's the place. Nick Sirianni needs to go back to high school football. Oh man, that's pretty brutal. Guys, we are almost at 200 likes on the YouTube live. Hit that like button. I do appreciate it. If you are in live, let me know. He's out for personal reasons again? Out for personal reasons. Man, I hope everything's okay with Ridley, really. Because that type of stuff is always concerning. But it does appear Calvin Ridley is out. Really, really tough news at this time of a Sunday. Does Eckler scare you? No, yeah, he does scare me. But you still have to start Eckler. I mean, Austin Eckler is a top 5 running back when healthy, and he's playing. Though I will say the Austin Eckler thing feels a lot like the Keenan Allen thing from last season, where he told people to play him in fantasy, then he barely played. I still have not found confirmation about the Calvin Ridley thing, but it feels, with the number of comments I'm seeing about it, like Calvin Ridley's out. Yep, from Adam Schefter himself 6 minutes ago. Falcons wide receiver Calvin Ridley will not play today due to a personal matter. Yeah, man, I really do hope everything's okay with Calvin Ridley. But you got to get Calvin Ridley out of your lineups. And the Panthers +3 is looking better now, honestly. Cordero Patterson looking better now. Honestly, I got to update this in the app really quickly. This was very unexpected news. And he did miss the London game against the Jets, I think it was, for personal reasons too. I'm not going to speculate. We know whatever those personal reasons are. That's between Calvin Ridley and the Falcons. But yeah, Calvin Ridley out this week. That's a big bump up for Cordero Patterson. It's a big bump up for Mike Davis too. Mike Davis should be more involved now. And it's honestly just a huge win for the Panthers too. The Panthers are going to win this game. They're underdogs in this game. I wonder if they will be underdogs after this news. The Panthers were 3-point underdogs in this game prior to this news. I'm updating the WalterPicks app right now. I'll let you know what changes in the app are machine learning projections in the WalterPicks app on the iOS App Store. You got to try it out. But it is always very interesting to see how players being out impact other players. I think this is pretty much the most important thing to understand in fantasy football, and the biggest edge to have is understanding when players are out, how that impacts other players. And I'm running the simulations right now. And yeah, Cordero Patterson gets a big bump up. Cordero Patterson's, I think, close to running back 1 territory now. He was already projected 15 points, and now he's projected 17 points in PPR leagues. Man, Cordero Patterson is the pickup of the year. I can't believe how good he has been. And if you've been following me from draft season, I have Cordero Patterson in over a third of my best ball teams. He could actually win me $1 million. I'm in a $1 million best ball contest, and I have Cordero Patterson on 1/3 of those teams. He's single-handedly keeping me alive in best ball. He also has a over 20% chance to go over 25 points this week now, based on our 10,000 simulations. Again, you can get access to all of these projections in the WalterPicks app completely free. Go download the app. Link is in the bio or the description if you're on YouTube. He's got a better chance to score over 25 points than he does to score under 10. Why is Ridley out? Yeah, pick up Gage. Gage is not a lock, guys. Gage is the modern day Chris Hogan. He runs tons of routes, but does really nothing. But yeah, no, we don't know why. It's for personal reasons. So he's not injured, which is good. But also, I'm not going to speculate what the personal reasons are. There's definitely a reason they're not sharing what the personal reason is. So yeah, he's out for personal reasons. Calvin Ridley out like an hour and a half before kickoff. I don't know if that game's at 4 or 1, but Calvin Ridley out. Mahomes, Brady, or Herbert? Mahomes. Guys, Mahomes. You have to start Mahomes every week. The Giants aren't good either. The Giants had a good game last week, though, defensively. But, yeah. Dak playing or no? We're leaning towards no on Dak playing. We started this stream. I said we're just going to operate under the assumption that Dak Prescott is not playing. We're going to operate under the assumption that Dak Prescott is not playing because it feels like he's not going to play. And so I think that's the safe thing to do in fantasy. There's still a chance he plays. It's not confirmed that he's not playing. But we're going to operate under the assumption he is not playing. Happy Halloween. Yes, happy Halloween. It's the best holiday of the year. I'm going to put this back on. It's the best holiday of the year after Thanksgiving, because Thanksgiving, you got family, you got food and football, like all of that. But Halloween's on football Sunday this year. So I think Halloween's a close second after Thanksgiving. Devonte Smith or Robert Woods? Yeah, it's Devonte Smith week, guys. You have to start Devonte Smith. You have to start Devonte Smith. Yes, Calvin Ridley's out this week, guys. Ridley's out. Ridley's out due to personal reasons, and we do not know what those personal reasons are, but get Calvin Ridley out of your lineups immediately. Amari Cooper or Godwin? I'd definitely go Godwin. 100% Godwin. Booker or Gainwell? I like Gainwell more than Booker. I think Devonte Booker's a little bit of a trap this week. 10-point underdog. 10-point underdog against the Chiefs. I think this is going to be a big Daniel Jones game. Everyone's talking about how Ridley's out, not about how Jamal Williams was ruled out. Was Jamal Williams also ruled out? Lots of early news. This is huge news for DeAndre Swift. And if this is the case, let me pull this up. Jamal Williams, and I believe you in the comments, but we need to confirm things on this live. Lions running back Jamal Williams inactive today. This is massive news. This is bigger than the Calvin Ridley news. I actually agree with you. DeAndre Swift, I'm going to change my DraftKings lineup right now. You have to start DeAndre Swift. Guys, DeAndre, I got to update the WalterPicks app for this too. Another late injury news scratch this week. Jamal Williams out, Calvin Ridley out. Jamal Williams being out is a very big deal because he was taking a lot of the carries away from DeAndre Swift, who was already dominating. DeAndre Swift leading the league in receiving yards at the running back position. DeAndre Swift, guys, was one of the best picks in fantasy football. And DeAndre Swift with Jamal Williams out is a top 5 running back in fantasy. I'm going to rerun the projections and the simulations live on this live right now too. But I got to update first, put in that that Jamal Williams is out. Get Jamal Williams out of your lineups if you had him in. But more importantly, get DeAndre Swift into your DFS lineups and into your fantasy lineups. Honestly, Cordero Patterson too. I might switch up this lineup big time right now live on this stream because with this injury news, it really does have a big impact. And again, I said this earlier when we found out about the Calvin Ridley news. Calvin Ridley out for personal reasons today. That I think the biggest real edge in fantasy football is understanding how news and injuries impacts things. And this is huge, huge news. We had Jamal Williams projected for 9 points. He really was seeing like 40% of the work. He had a pretty similar role for the Lions that he did for the Packers last season. And Jamal Williams has been good, but he's out this week with an injury. Calvin Ridley's out, but not due to an injury. And that makes DeAndre Swift a top 5 running back play this week. I'm going to update. I just put in the app Jamal Williams out. Now I got to update DeAndre Swift, see how his simulations and projections change based on DeAndre Swift playing without Jamal Williams. And he was already projected as a top 10 running back. We already had him projected for 18 points. Oh man, he's going to break. He's going to break fantasy football this week. He's projected 21.8 points now in the WalterPicks app. He has a 30% chance to go over 25 points and a 7% chance to go under. This is really like Christian McCaffrey type projections that we're seeing for DeAndre Swift. You need to start DeAndre Swift is a must everywhere. Yeah, so I'm going to update this. I'm going to update this right now in the WalterPicks app. It's now updated. Check out the WalterPicks app, by the way, in the iOS App Store. You get machine learning projections, 10,000 simulations. It just helps you dominate start-sit decisions, dominate trades, DraftKings, FanDuel, everything. All right, so we're going to adjust this lineup a little. Obviously, we got to keep Nick Chubb in this lineup. We have to keep Devonte Smith in this lineup. Really, those are the only 2 guys I'm attached to on this slate. Deebo Samuel is really expensive. I might have to get rid of him. Let's see. How much is DeAndre Swift? I think he was pretty expensive. Yeah, he's 7,100. So I'm not that far off just by taking James Robinson out, putting DeAndre Swift in. We're also going to put Cordero Patterson in. Let's see how much he's probably pretty expensive too. I'm already paying down at quarterback. I actually think I can share my screen on the YouTube Live. All right, we gotta do this. Here we go. We're live on TikTok and YouTube right now, by the way. And on the YouTube Live, you can see my favorite picks against the spread, top 10 quarterbacks, running backs, wide receivers, tight ends. Guys, Jamal, and right now, I will get back to the comments, I promise. But there's been some big news. Jamal Williams is out this week. That's huge news for DeAndre Swift. Calvin Ridley's out. That's huge news for Cordero Patterson. So we are now going to flex Cordero Patterson in this lineup. This head-to-head lineup. I think I got to take out Deebo Samuel. Maybe I just pay down at tight end. I have Sam Darnold at quarterback right now. Nick Chubb, DeAndre Swift at running back. I mean, both those guys, such a good floor and ceiling. Cordero Patterson in the flex. Patterson's going to have to be more involved in this game with no Calvin Ridley. I think I'm going to pay down for a less expensive defense now, too. I'm going to go with Washington football team defense. They're the second least expensive team. And I know Washington defense isn't good this season, but I think I'm just going to punt the defense position. All right, I need one wide receiver now. I need one wide receiver. I don't want to play Darnell Mooney. Honestly, it would not be that surprising if this is like a big Brandon Ayuka the Bazooka week. Last week, the 49ers were playing in that horrible weather game, and Ayuk really did nothing. But it wouldn't be that surprising after the bye that the 49ers had 2 weeks ago to see Ayuk get a little bit more involved. All right, I'm going to take Deebo Samuel out. Oh, I don't want to take Deebo Samuel out. I really don't. I think I'm just going to I might just send it and go with Jerry Judy. Is Jerry Judy I can't play Jerry Judy and the Washington defense, though. I don't trust Russell Gage either. Like, Russell Gage is just, the volume should increase for Russell Gage with Ridley out, but his projection really didn't change that much when I updated it with Calvin Ridley being out. All right, I think I'm going to rock with Cole Beasley in this head-to-head lineup. And I got to take Deebo Samuel out, unfortunately, to get Cole Beasley in there. All right, this is what we're doing. I got the lineup ready. This is a high-stakes league, so I'm sorry that I'm taking some time out of live to do this. But the big news this morning was that Calvin Ridley's not playing, which is really good news for Cordero Patterson. I think Cordero Patterson's a must-start now. He's projected for close to 18 points. But the bigger news is that Jamal Williams is out, and that makes Deandre Swift a top 5 running back this week. Honestly, won't be shocked at all if he finishes as number 1. All right, so here's the lineup, and actually we have a little bit of salary left over after taking Deebo Samuel out. So I'm going to get a slightly better defense now. Maybe I can get an honestly better quarterback. Let's take a quick look. The lineup as it stands, DraftKings lineup. I think, again, adjusting for the news is huge with this stuff. Sam Darnold at quarterback. Playing against the Atlanta Falcons. No more Calvin Ridley. I don't think that changes Sam Darnold's projection very much. If anything, it hurts Sam Darnold because it might not be as high scoring of a game. But the Falcons defense, regardless, has not been good. They're trending in. These are two teams trending in different directions, but still, Sam Darnold can do well against the Atlanta Falcons. At running back, I'm going with Nick Chubb, no Kareem Hunt. DeAndre Swift, no Jamal Williams. Cordero Patterson, no Calvin Ridley. All three of those guys, I think you got to lock in to your lineups. Like, you're going to be up against so many lineups with these guys this week. At wide receiver, I'm going with Chris Godwin up against the Saints. Mike Evans is going to be guarded by Marshawn Lattimore, who's done really well against Mike Evans in the past. I think Godwin's a really safe play. Devonte Smith against the Lions. And Marquez Callaway against the Buccaneers. I like the Godwin-Callaway stat. Because I do think the Saints are going to have to throw more this week against the Bucs. This is not a defense you can run against. So the Saints are going to have to throw. And, a fourth revenge game this week. Jameis Winston playing against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. We got 4 interesting revenge games. Jameis Winston against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. We got Mike Davis against the Carolina Panthers. Mike Davis, by the way, he's going to get some run this week too with Calvin Ridley out. That does mean more volume for Mike Davis, who's probably going to see at least 10 carries this week against his former team. We got Hunter Henry also up against the Chargers. Lots of good revenge games this week. Gronk or Higbee? Yeah, I'd definitely go Higbee. All right, we're going to sign this lineup and get back to some of the comments. I appreciate everyone in the live still. Hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button. We got to be almost at 200 likes. I think we're almost there. We're almost at 150. We're live on TikTok and YouTube. And let me change this up on the YouTube live. You can come see my top 10 running backs, quarterbacks, wide receivers, tight ends, all on the YouTube live that you can't see on the TikTok live because it doesn't have that feature. But DeAndre Swift was already a top 5 running back in my rankings this week. And now Jamal Williams is out. Honestly, I think he's probably number 1. I'm not sure if he is number 1 or not in the WalterPicks projections, but he's projected 22 points now in the app. Just insane. All right, let's get back to some of the questions. Gainwell or Moss? Yeah, I like Moss this week. But in a PPR league, I would argue Gainwell probably has a higher ceiling. Sam, I had Ridley, and now I need to know who to start, Goddard, Allen Robinson, or Laviska Shenault. Oh, man. I mean, yeah, it is officially spooky season for your fantasy team. You don't want to start a tight end in your flex. Like, you just never want to do that. But in this situation, you might have to. I wouldn't start Allen Robinson. I would probably go Laviska Shenault or Dallas Goddard. Robbie Anderson or Odell Beckham Jr.? It's got to be Robbie Anderson. I don't trust Odell. Odell could go under 25 yards again this week. Robbie Anderson's got a really, really low floor too. But against the Falcons, I think you got to go Robbie. Should I sell Tyreek Hill? No, I wouldn't sell Tyreek Hill. I wouldn't sell Travis Kelce either. Woods or Judy? I'd go Woods over Judy. This is not like Judy's been out for a long time with an injury, ankle injury. He's back this week. If you have a good option, then just use the good option. Shannon, how's it going? Boston Scott or Sterling Shepard in the flex? I would go Sterling Shepard over Boston Scott. Boston Scott has he is a sneaky play in fantasy this week with the Miles Sanders injury. But Sterling Shepard against the Chiefs secondary, man, Monday night, you're going to want Giants players in this Monday night game. Daniel Jones, Sterling Shepard, Kadarius Toney. Get these guys into your lineups. You got to have that Monday miracle in your back pocket in fantasy too. Love having Monday night players in fantasy. So, yeah, you got to go Sterling Shepard. Pittman or Beasley? I would go Pittman over Beasley. Should I target Ridley in a trade? If that's what you're asking. I don't know, man. This is the second game now Ridley's missed like this. It's really tough to know because we don't know. We just don't know. So there's a huge risk element now with Ridley, who also was kind of having a down season. Emmanuel Sanders or Robert Woods? I would go Woods over Sanders. Hawkinson or Goddard PPR? Oh, man, that one's tough. I think you've got to go Hawk. I think you still have to start TJ Hawkinson pretty much every week. I would play Kenny Gainwell over Gaskin. I would play Khalil Herbert over Kenny Gainwell. I would play Khalil Herbert over Devonte Booker. I would play Khalil Herbert over Daryl Williams. I would play Daryl Williams over Kenny Gainwell. But I would play Kenny Gainwell over Boston Scott. I would play Kenny Gainwell, I think, over I've already blanked on where this question even started. But in that situation, let me scroll back up here on the TikTok Live. Yeah, it was Gaskin. Yeah, I would play Gainwell over Gaskin for sure. All right, let's get back to some of the questions. Guys, we're live on TikTok and YouTube. It actually is a little bit easier, slightly easier for me to answer the YouTube Live questions because I can just pull them up on screen super easy. So come to the YouTube Live. Link is in the TikTok bio. You can also see my top 10 rankings at every single position. And you'll be just a little bit more likely to get your question answered, though I will answer questions from both lives. The big news this morning, Calvin Ridley not playing this week. Jamal Williams not playing this week. Beasley or Sanders? Yeah, Sanders is just seeing way more deep targets than Beasley, but this matchup actually is better for Beasley. The Dolphins have really struggled to defend players in the slot. So I think this week they're pretty much dead even for me. I would still lean towards Sanders because, again, he is seeing more valuable targets down the field. Like his air yards versus Beasley air yards isn't even close. But, again, the matchup's better for Beasley. So I think it's really close. Personally, I'd lean Sanders. What's up with Calvin Ridley? We don't know, really, what's up with Calvin Ridley. All we know is he's out for personal reasons. All right, so I'm also reading a tweet right now saying there's actually a good chance Dak plays tonight all of a sudden. And that's, again, Dak Prescott's very questionable tonight. Very questionable. If he plays, then you have to start every Dallas Cowboys player. If he doesn't play, I still think you need to start CeeDee Lamb. I don't think you need to start Amari Cooper, though. And I still think you need to start Zeke. If you see my top 10 running backs, let me pull this up on the YouTube Live. And if you're watching live on YouTube, guys, smash the like button, hit the subscribe button. If you have not hit those buttons yet, hit those buttons. It takes you 2 seconds. It takes 2 seconds. We're going on and off with the helmet today. Happy Halloween, everyone. This is a great day. A great day to have a great day. Halloween, we got football, candy, all in one day. Let me pull up my top 10 running backs because I had 11 running backs in my top 10 today. I had 11 running backs in my top 10. And the 11th was Zeke Elliott because I think you still have to start Zeke. Gage or Tony? Definitely Tony over Gage. Guys, be careful. Be careful with Russell Gage. Russell Gage is not a lock. He's absolutely not a lock. Russell Gage has done nothing this season. He's running tons of routes. He's just not that good. And he's up against Stephon Gilmore in the Panthers secondary this week. All right, let's get to some of the questions in the YouTube Live. Guys, we're live on TikTok and YouTube. It is a little bit easier for me to answer the YouTube Live comments because I can pull them up right on screen. All right, Gainwell, we're going to go rapid fire in the comments the next 5 minutes. Gainwell, a lot of Gainwell questions this week, rightfully so. I like Gainwell this week, but I'm nervous about Gainwell more than I am about Kadarius Toney. So, yeah, I would go Kadarius Toney. Herbert or Hubbard? Oh, Khalil Herbert or Hubbard. Yeah, that one's really close. I think I would still lean towards Herbert in this situation. I mean, Herbert is locked into more volume than Chuba Hubbard is. Higbee or Goddard? I have Goddard ranked ahead of Higbee this week. I think you have to go Goddard over Higbee, but I do expect a good week from Higbee. I like both these guys this week, Jack. Higbee, to me, has a better chance at a touchdown than Goddard does. Higbee's up against a Texans defense that's allowed 6 touchdowns to tight ends in 7 games. And Tyler Higbee's leading all tight ends in red zone targets. So I'd say Higbee has a close to 50% chance, which is really high for a tight end, at a touchdown this week. So I like Higbee. But, I mean, Goddard without Ertz is just locked into pretty good volume. And the Lions' defense also is really bad. Really bad defense. Khalil Herbert or Eckler? Oh, man. I know you can panic about Austin Eckler. Like, it's fair to panic about Austin Eckler. He's dealing with an injury that is like a serious injury. There was a good chance he didn't play this week, but he's playing. And because he's playing, you have to start him. Gronk, question mark. Yeah, don't start Gronk this week. I think this is not the week to start Gronk. There's too much incentive for the Buccaneers to bring Gronk back slowly. Just look at the history for Gronk. He's dealt with injuries in the past. We know Gronk is very good. He dominated at the beginning of the season, was really a top 3 tight end to start the season. But he had a very serious rib injury, and he also, I think, punctured it was more than just a rib injury. It was not a good injury. I forget the exact specifics. But they have O.J. Howard and Cameron Brate. Like, there's no reason for them to rush him back. So that's why I would not be starting Gronk. Yet. We're just not starting him yet. Just be a little bit more patient with Gronk. All right, guys, we are live on TikTok and YouTube. We're almost at 200 likes. Smash the like button. We got a free prop pick. I want to share the free prop pick with you all. We're very close to 200 likes. We're at 160. Smash the like button. If everyone smashes the like button really quickly right now, we are there. All right, we're going to go rapid fire in the comments. Tony or Landry? I'd go Kadarius Toney over Landry. I like Kadarius Toney and Sterling Shepard a lot against the Chiefs. Devonte Smith or Kadarius Toney? Yeah, this is where we're going to draw the line because you have to start Devonte Smith this week against the Lions. Tale of 2 seasons for the Eagles. Bad defenses, they do well. So you got to start Jalen Hurts and Devonte Smith with tons of confidence. Judy or Tony? Yeah, this one's Tony. Like, if you can bench Judy, you probably should. Draftkings lineup. Yeah, so I changed my Draftkings lineup live on the stream because we had a lot of news come out during the stream. The fact that Jamal Williams is not playing makes DeAndre Swift the number 1 running back this week. He's leading the league in receiving yards, but now he's going to get tons of carries this week too against an Eagles defense that hasn't been very good against running backs. So I'm all in on DeAndre Swift. He was a top 5 running back for me before the injury news for Jamal Williams. So yeah, you got to like DeAndre Swift a ton. So I got him in the DraftKings lineup. There's 3 players I think you need in every lineup now. DeAndre Swift, Devonte Smith, and Nick Chubb. And I also have Cordero Patterson in this lineup. I think he gets a boost too with Calvin Ridley out. I don't think he's necessarily a lock, but I think he definitely gets a boost in his receiving outlook, which is big at the running back position. Waddle or Callaway or Tony? Yeah, I'd probably rank those guys in reverse order. Actually, no, I'd probably go Tony, then Waddle, then Callaway. Though I do like Callaway. And Callaway's in my DraftKings lineup today too, along with Chris Godwin. I like the Godwin-Callaway stack this week. The Saints have to pass more this week. And Godwin is going to have the superior matchup to Mike Evans. Mike Evans is going to be up against Marshawn Lattimore. The Eagles, guys, they've allowed the 3rd most fantasy points per game to running backs this season. And now DeAndre Swift is going to get a massive, massive workload against them. Oh, it's just shaping up perfectly for a big DeAndre Swift week, who's dealing with an injury of his own. But still, playing this week, no Jamal Williams. Lock in DeAndre Swift. Guys, smash the like button and the subscribe button if you're watching live on YouTube. We're so close to 200 likes. Sterling Shepard or Robert Woods? Yeah, I would go Sterling Shepard over Robert Woods. Ridley out. Do I start Emmanuel Sanders or Robert Woods? I'd go Robert Woods over Emmanuel Sanders too. Brandon Cooks or Chuba Hubbard? I'd go Chuba Hubbard over Cooks. Revenge game for Brandon Cooks today, though, against the Rams. Chubb or Hubbard? Yeah, you got it. You got to start Nick Chubb. You can't bench Nick Chubb. Tony or Judy? It's Tony over Judy, guys. You just be a little patient with Judy. If you have a good option like Tony, like Kadarius Toney, just play Kadarius Toney and then wait, see what the role is for Judy coming off the injury. Cooks or J-Jets? I mean, come on. What is this? We're not going to start Justin Jefferson all of a sudden? Shepard or Waddle? Yeah, I would definitely go Shepard over Waddle. I'm getting a text right now that says I'm going with Devonte Smith. I'm getting a text that says I'm going with Devonte Smith over Zach Moss because of Walter's projections. I'm going with Devonte Smith over Zach Moss because of Walter's projections, even though ESPN and IBM Watson's telling me to do the opposite thing. Yeah, I mean, Devonte Smith is a way better play than Zach Moss. So I'm glad that is what Walter's saying. McKissick or Elijah Mitchell? Definitely Elijah Mitchell. It's 100% Elijah Mitchell. I have A.J. Brown, Chris Godwin, and Deontay Johnson in my lineup right now. If Dak plays, should I sub out for CeeDee Lamb? Yeah, you should. You should sub out Deontay Johnson for CeeDee Lamb if Dak plays. But if Dak doesn't play, then yeah, Deontay Johnson's safer. And it feels like at the beginning of this stream, with everything I'd read, it seemed like very unlikely Dak Prescott was going to play. So we've been operating under the assumption this whole live stream that Dak's not going to play. But I have stumbled upon a few more reports during the live stream on Twitter saying, no, actually, there's a pretty good chance Dak plays. So it's close, man. It is close. All right, I think I got to plug my phone into the charger really quickly. Let's do that before we lose the TikTok live. And we are good. All right, we're live on TikTok and YouTube. Guys, if you haven't hit the like button yet, hit the like button. We are so close to 200 likes. We're 25 likes away. And then we got the free prop pick coming up. We're live on TikTok and YouTube. Let me pull up my picks against the spread again. I do think that there are shaping up to be a lot of must-start players. If you're playing DraftKings FanDuel this week or just season-long fantasy, you need to start Deandre Swift. You need to start Nick Chubb. You need to start Devonte Smith. You need to start Deebo Samuel, Chris Godwin. Lots of really, really good options this week. Moss or Gibson or Booker. Yeah, Moss is probably the play here. They're 14.5 point or maybe bigger. 18-point favorites. You will see it at the bottom of the screen here if you're watching live on YouTube. A little bit more info on YouTube if you want to come to the YouTube live. If you're watching live on TikTok, the link is in the TikTok bio. But yeah, you got to go Moss as a massive, massive favorite. Mike Davis, Javonte Williams, or Myles Gaskin. Mike Davis revenge game this week, guys. I know Mike Davis, 1 fantasy point last week. 1 fantasy point. But I think he's going to get more volume with Calvin Ridley out. I don't hate Mike Davis this week. I think Mike Davis is worth considering. But he's definitely not safe. I think he's going to see in the ballpark of 10 to 12 carries. Higbee or Gesicki? Yeah, definitely Higbee. Big Higbee fan this week against the Texans. I've said this before on this live stream already. They've allowed 6 touchdowns to tight ends this season, by far the most in the league. And Higbee leads the league in tight end red zone targets. So lots of reasons to like Higbee over Gesicki. Higgins or Marvin Jones? Yeah, I'd go Marvin Jones over Higgins. Higgins saw 15 targets last week, which is really good. But Marvin Jones has the better matchup. And Marvin Jones also is leading the Jaguars in air yards. I think Marvin Jones is a really high ceiling. Guys, we're only 18 likes away from 200 likes. Smash the like button. Smash the subscribe button. I do appreciate that. I thank you for tuning in, by the way. I appreciate you spending some time with me this morning. It's going to be a very fun Sunday of football. I said this earlier on the live stream about the Patriots, too. The Patriots have had 4 wins since the year 2021 started, this calendar year. 3 of those wins were against the Jets. 1 of them was against the Texans. Can the Patriots please get a real win? Can the Patriots get 1 real win against the Chargers? They've been in games. They've had moral victories, but no real victories this season. Claypool or Devonte Smith? Yeah, it's Devonte Smith. Claypool or Tony? That one's much closer. I think Devonte Smith, you just have to lock in your lineup, by the way. Claypool versus Tony, I think, is close. The Browns secondary has not been very good this season. But I think I prefer Kadarius Toney against the Chiefs than Chase Claypool against the Browns. I feel like Tony's a little riskier. He's questionable. So we don't even 100% know he's playing. And we know what we're getting with Claypool. Claypool does have really high ceiling. And he's seeing pretty consistent volume with Juju out. So I think Claypool's the safer play, but I personally prefer Kadarius Toney. And I bet if you downloaded the WalterPicks app, which is completely free on the iOS App Store, and you compared Chase Claypool and Kadarius Toney in the app, it would probably tell you to start Chase Claypool. So, yeah, I think it's close. Khalil Herbert or Patterson? Yeah, 100% Patterson now. With Calvin Ridley out, the receiving role, honestly, just the volume for Patterson gets better. It does get better. Happy Halloween, everyone. My second favorite holiday of the year after Thanksgiving. Even better this year, we got football on Halloween. Dak or Daniel Jones. And should I start CeeDee Lamb or over Deontay Johnson or Devonte Smith. If Dak Prescott plays, you got to start Dak Prescott. But we're not sure Dak Prescott's playing. So, yeah, if he plays, start Dak. If he doesn't play, Daniel Jones is a fantastic backup option. I would recommend adding Daniel Jones to anyone that has Dak Prescott right now in fantasy. And then for CeeDee Lamb, I think he's still startable even without Dak. I would start Devonte Smith over Deontay Johnson, though. So, yeah, I would say CeeDee Lamb for Deontay. Moore or Lamb? Yeah, DJ Moore for CeeDee Lamb, for sure, against the Falcons. DK or AJ? Yeah, DK Metcalf versus AJ Brown is a classic question. I think AJ Brown for sure. I mean, it's really not that close. You're going with Ryan Tannehill over Geno Smith. And AJ Brown, if you've been watching those Titans games, AJ Brown is back. Herbert or Daniel Jones? Ooh, that one's interesting. Let me pull up my quarterback rankings. Let's see what my quarterback rankings say about that one. If you're watching live on YouTube, you can see the rankings at the bottom of the screen. Guys, smash the like button. We are, 10 likes away? 8 likes away from 200. Hit the like button, and we will get to the free prop pick of the day. I have Justin Herbert ranked number 8 in these rankings. I don't think Daniel Jones is even on them. He probably would be, though, if Kyler Murray was not on these. So, yeah, I think you kind of have to go Justin Herbert. But I do like Daniel Jones this week. I do think Daniel Jones is a good play. All right, let's get back to some of the comments in the YouTube live. I will try to get to as many comments as I possibly can. I can't get to all of them, but I also built an app called WalterPicks in the iOS App Store that can also answer a lot of your questions. Hey, Sam, love the costume. Thanks, man. I need help from my flex. Kadarius Toney, Chase Claypool, Devonte Smith, Emmanuel Sanders. I also have Cooper in the lineup. Thoughts with Dak. Yeah, Cooper's a guy that I probably would bench if Dak doesn't play. Not to say you can't do well without Dak. Like, we've seen Amari Cooper do well on bad teams. He did last season. He had almost over 10 points in every game except for like 3 without Dak last season. So he still could do well. I'd still play him over Emmanuel Sanders and Kadarius Toney. But I don't think I'd play him over Claypool or Devonte Smith. Hopefully that helps. Thanks for tuning in, by the way. Pick 2, Tony, Myers, Landry, and Waddle. Yeah, not Jacoby Myers this week. The Chargers secondary really is good. So I think I would probably go Waddle and Toney, the 2 rookies, who, by the way, as the season goes on, the rookies get easier and easier to trust. Marshawn Lattimore is up against Mike Evans today, and he has won that matchup more often than not. So I'm nervous about Mike Evans. And I do think Chris Godwin is a much safer play than Mike Evans this week. Love the costume and the content. Thanks, man. Yeah, guys, if you haven't hit the like and subscribe button, if you're watching live on YouTube or TikTok, and you haven't hit the follow button on TikTok, you got to do that. I do appreciate that. It takes like 2 seconds. Helps out a ton. We do have the free prop pick coming up right when we cross 200 likes, which is 1 like away. So smash the like button. You can be our 200th like on the live. This is a deep league question right here. Start Nyheim Hines, Tim Patrick, Amon-Ra St. Brown, or Jared Cook. Yeah, I think it's got to be one of those first 2 guys. I would not start Jared Cook. Jared Cook has a legitimate chance at under 2 points. It's probably Nyheim Hines or Amon-Ra St. Brown. I think I'd go with Nyheim Hines, though. The Titans' defense really has not been very good. And I also think the Titans can put up a lot of points in this game. Jalen Hurts or Kirk Cousins? Yeah, you have to start Jalen Hurts this week. You have to start Jalen Hurts. You have to start Devonte Smith. The Jalen Hurts has had a tale of 2 seasons. One season is part of the seasons against good defenses, or really just not bad defenses, and he does not play well against them. But when he plays bottom 10 defenses, he's gotten over 60% completion percentage in all those games. He's gotten over 250 yards in all of those games. So I think a big game coming from Jalen Hurts against the Lions. And he's gotten over 20 points every week. The only quarterback to do that. All right, we're over 200 likes. So let's pull up the free prop pick. Let's see. 1 second. All right, here it is. Free prop pick of the day is Nick Chubb over 85.5 rushing yards. Nick Chubb, over 85.5 rushing yards. Hear me out on this one. And I know this is a high line, and usually I like to go for the lower lines. But Nick Chubb's heading into week 8 with no injury designation. He missed each of the last 2 weeks with a calf injury. And there's no Kareem Hunt. So Chubb's pretty much locked into at least 20 carries. The Steelers are a good defense. They've allowed they ranked 7th best against running backs. But Nick Chubb has been the most efficient running back in the NFL over the last 2 years. And he's rushed for at least 83 yards in every game this season. Nick Chubb has rushed for at least 83 yards in every healthy game this season. And he should easily clear 20 rushing attempts this week. So the most efficient running back in the league over the last 2 years. He can very easily turn 20 carries or more than 20 carries in this game into over 100 yards, even against a good defense. Walter actually has Nick Chubb projected for over 100 yards this week. That's our artificially intelligent algorithm that powers the WalterPicks app. So the free prop pick of the day, Nick Chubb, over 85.5 rushing yards. In the YouTube live or the TikTok live, let me know, what are you seeing this prop at? Because sometimes this stuff moves. On Prize Picks, you can find this at 85.5. All right, that's the free prop pick of the day. Myers or Tony? Yeah, I'd go Tony over Myers. I don't want Myers this week. And I'm rooting for Myers. I'm a Patriots fan. And I think that they might have to keep up with the Chargers' high-powered offense, but the Chargers still have a really good secondary. They rank second best against the pass, but second worst against the run. A really smart way to build your defense, by the way. Myers or Tony, I would go Tony. OBJ, Raymond, or Robbie. Yeah, this is, down in the dumps for Robbie Anderson and OBJ. The fact that we're thinking about starting Khalif Raymond, who probably nobody even knew who he was. That's how bad the Lions receivers were heading into the season. But, oh God, I think I would go Robbie Anderson, honestly, against the Falcons. Picks against the spread. Yeah, let me pull up my picks against the spread. Guys, we were 70% on the locks against the spread, and I think I have 3 locks this week. I like the Panthers against the Falcons. That spread's probably moved since this morning. I like the Eagles against the Lions, only 3.5 point favorites against the Lions. I'm not worried about the Eagles against the Lions. I know a lot of Eagles fans worried Jalen Hurts not playing well, but I do expect the Eagles offense to do really, really, really well against a bad Lions defense. I also like the 49ers against the Bears. I think they could easily destroy the Bears. The Bears just refuse to pass the ball, though it will be very interesting to see how the Bears play without Matt Nagy, because he's not going to be coaching today due to COVID restrictions. And then I also like the Buccaneers against the Saints. The Buccaneers, guys, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have basically just walked past teams each of the last few weeks. Like they're just easily destroying teams. And they haven't had hard matchups. But revenge game for Jameis Winston. I'm taking the Bucs 6-1 against the New Orleans Saints, who are 4-2. That's, in my opinion, the best late game of the day. Patriots versus the Chargers will be a good one too. Yeah, so I think all the locks are probably my favorite. Panthers, Eagles, Buccaneers, and 49ers. I think 49ers is, to me, the most risky one. But those are my favorite. All right, let's get back to some of the questions in the live. Again, let me know what you saw the line is at for Nick Chubb. Over 85.5 rushing yards. That's the free prop pick of the day. Cooper or Gainwell? Yeah, I think I'd go Cooper over Gainwell. Moss, Jerry, or Booker? Yeah, I'd probably rank these guys in this order. I don't love Devonte Booker this week. He's a 10-point underdog against the Chiefs. I think that Daniel Jones is going to have to pass a lot in this game, and it's going to work well because the Chiefs' defense isn't good. Bottom 5 defense in the NFL. Ridley really screwed me this week. Should I start Robert Woods or Damian Harris at my flex? Yeah, Ridley, hopefully everything's okay with Ridley. He's out for personal reasons again. Damian Harris is in a really interesting spot this week because he's up against a Chargers defense that's allowed the second most points per game to running backs this season. But the Chargers are also favorites in this game, and the Patriots really have a chance to get blown out. Like, that is well within the range of outcomes for the Patriots. And that's not going to be good for Damian Harris. But, yeah, I think I would still go Damian Harris. I still think Damian Harris is kind of a lock for 15 carries. Damian Harris versus Chuba Hubbard is much closer. I would go Chuba Hubbard over Damian Harris. In a 10-team, half PPR, 2-flex league. Sean, thanks for the context there. Need to choose 2. Fournette, Keenan Allen, Joe Mixon, Chris Godwin. Yeah, honestly, I think this one's easy. It's the last 2. You got to start Chris Godwin. You got to start Joe Mixon. you have to start Chris Godwin this week. And Joe Mixon is also getting healthier and healthier by the week. He really has not had a setback. Happy Halloween, CeeDee Lamb or Keenan Allen. It is CeeDee Lamb for me over Keenan Allen. I like Keenan Allen this week. I actually think Keenan Allen matches up better than Mike Williams against the Patriots, but it's got to be CeeDee Lamb, man. It's got to be CeeDee Lamb. All right, let's get to some of the TikTok chats. Guys, we're live on TikTok and YouTube, and it's a little bit easier for me to answer the comments in the YouTube Live. The link is in the TikTok bio to come to the YouTube Live, but I will answer comments in both. Judy or Claypool. Yeah, just like don't start Judy if you have a good option like Claypool. There's just no need. Like Judy has a ceiling, but he also comes with a lot of risk. He hasn't played since the first half of the game in week 1. And Chase Claypool is a pretty good matchup against the Browns. I think the Browns are going to beat the Steelers. So yeah, I think Claypool matches up pretty well. Pick 2, Mike Williams, Keenan Allen, DK Metcalf, AJ Brown. You have to start AJ Brown, guys. You have to start AJ Brown. If you watch the Titans games the last couple of weeks, you will understand. AJ Brown's locked into your starting lineup every week now. And I think I would go Keenan Allen as the second one here. I think that part of the question is really interesting. Mike Williams, Keenan Allen, DK Metcalf. I personally would go with Keenan Allen over Mike Williams, over DK Metcalf. I do think Mike Williams has a tougher matchup today than Keenan Allen. D. Williams, I'm assuming that means Daryl Williams versus Khalil Herbert. Yeah, I'd go Khalil Herbert over Daryl Williams. Beasley, Jarvis Landry, or Jameson, Elite Crowder in a full PPR league in my flex. Yeah, I'd go Beasley. Beasley has a good matchup today. The Dolphins have struggled against the slot. I think they've allowed the second most yards against slot receivers or something along those lines. They've been the second worst defense against slot receivers. That bodes well for Cole Beasley. T. Higgins or Sterling Shepard. Yeah, I'd go Sterling Shepard. I'd go Sterling Shepard over T. Higgins. The Chiefs defense, playing against the Chiefs is so good for 2 reasons. 1, I'm not worried about the Chiefs offense. And 2, the Chiefs defense is horrible. So it's going to be a game where Daniel Jones has to throw a lot, and that's good news for Sterling Shepard. He is questionable, but it seems like he's on the right side of questionable. Zeke or Henderson, yeah, you got to start both these guys. You got to start both Zeke and Darrell Henderson. But personally, I'm not benching Zeke. Henderson against the Texans, too, really good option, though. I think I have Henderson ranked ahead of Zeke. Yeah, I do. I'm pulling my running back rankings again on the YouTube Live. Guys, thanks so much for tuning in. We got like 10 minutes left. 10 minutes left on this YouTube Live, on the TikTok Live. I always end the live stream, though, on YouTube. I think we're going to do that right now so I can focus on the YouTube Lives. Brendan, answer all caps. I love seeing these comments because I always see these ones, not the actual questions. But I will get to as many of the comments as I can. So we're going to wrap up the TikTok Live. But if you want to join the YouTube Live, you still can. We got 10 minutes left in the YouTube Live where I'm just going to go rapid fire on a lot of the questions. Why is Hurts the background? Yeah, let me answer that really quickly before I wrap up the TikTok Live. Jalen Hurts is going to ball out this week. There's way too much hate going Jalen Hurts' way. He hasn't played very well in real football. He's done really well in fantasy football, but he's done better against bad defenses. I think we're going to see him have a fantastic game this week. I like Devonte Smith this week a lot too. Guys, thanks so much for tuning in to the TikTok Live. The link is in the TikTok bio for the YouTube Live. Come to that. We are still live on YouTube. Have a good Sunday if you don't. All right. We are live just on YouTube now, guys. Just on YouTube. And I'm going to answer a lot of the comments. Hit the like button and the subscribe button if you haven't hit that yet. I do appreciate it. Tony or Mike Evans versus Lattimore. Yeah, I'd go Tony. I'd go Tony over Mike Evans this week. I think you can bench Mike Evans this week. Does he still have a good chance at a touchdown? Yeah, but he has a lot more risk than usual. DJ or Tannehill? Oh, that one's tough. I think I'd probably go with Daniel Jones over Ryan Tannehill. Again, the matchup is really, really good for Daniel Jones. It's really good for Daniel Jones. Gainwell or Marvin Jones? Yeah, I would personally go Marvin Jones over Gainwell. Gainwell's safer, though. Don't get me wrong. Gainwell's absolutely safer. Running backs are safer than receivers. Just think about how their volume comes, right? They're handed the ball instead of catching the ball 40 yards down the field. What do I do with Calvin Ridley? I mean, there's not much you can do. I think he's going to be pretty hard to trade. Been here for 2 hours. Luke, thanks, man. I do appreciate it. Khalil Herbert or Robert Woods. I actually think I might have answered this question for someone else in the last 2 hours. I feel like I have. But I've definitely answered Khalil Herbert and Robert Woods questions. I'd go Khalil Herbert over Robert Woods. And again, guys, if I don't get to your start sit question, I also built an app in the iOS App Store that will help with start sit decisions. Boom and bust probabilities for every single player, every single game, based on 10,000 simulations of the week, based on machine learning. But yeah, I'd go Khalil Herbert over Robert Woods. Khalil Herbert's seen 18 plus carries each of the last 3 games. And the Bears just refuse to stop running the ball. Like they're down by 15 points. They don't care. They're going to hand it to Khalil Herbert. I mean, it feels like the Bears want to lose a lot of times this season. But for your fantasy team and for Khalil Herbert, that's actually good news. So yeah, I'd go Khalil Herbert. CeeDee Lamb or Fournette? Yeah, don't bench CeeDee Lamb. Ridley or CeeDee Lamb long term? Definitely CeeDee Lamb long term. Guys, the Cowboys offense could lead the league in points for the rest of the season. That would not shock me at all. They have 6 healthy starting offensive linemen. Like their 6th offensive lineman would start on basically every other team in the NFL. So their depth at offensive line gives me a lot of hope for them offensively for the rest of the season, as long as Dak gets back and healthy. And it sounds like Dak has a real chance to play. We started the stream saying we assume Dak's not playing this week, but it seems like he could play this week. So he really is like a true game time decision. Apparently, Christian McCaffrey is on target to return from the IR in Week 9 next week against the Patriots. That is good news if you have Christian McCaffrey. And it could be the last week of Chuba Hubbard if you snagged him off of the waiver wire. Deshaun Jackson inactive this week. I think a healthy scratch. Khalil Mack is out. Big loss for the Bears. Makes me feel a lot better about the 49ers. I think that's part of the reason that they are one of my locks against the spread this week. It's the second time in the last 3 games that Calvin Ridley's missing a game due to personal issues. Gotta hope everything's okay with Calvin Ridley. Kyle Pitts, Cordero Patterson get huge bumps up with Calvin Ridley out. Jamal Williams out, the huge bump up to DeAndre Swift. All right, we're going to go rapid fire for the next 4 minutes in the comments. Play Hunter Henry or Dalton Schultz. It's got to be Schultz if Dak plays. So keep an eye on that news. If we still don't know if Dak is going to play by the time the Patriots game starts, which does start before the Dallas game, then just go Hunter Henry. Revenge game against the Chargers in a game where the Chargers likely will put up some points. I would go Schultz over Uzama, though. Patterson or McLaurin at flex. Yeah, I would probably go McLaurin. But with the Calvin Ridley news, I think Patterson's much safer, honestly. Yeah, I think I changed my mind here. I think I would go Cordero Patterson. Dalton Schultz or Gronk. Don't start Gronk. Just wait for Gronk. Be a little bit more patient with Gronk. Kenneth Gainwell or Michael Carter. Yeah, I'd go Gainwell over Carter. Claypool or Woods. I'd go Chase Claypool over Robert Woods. Hi, Sam. Hi, Sean. Chase Claypool or Cortland Sutton. I would go Chase Claypool. I like Chase Claypool. I like Chase Claypool this week. And Judy's back, too, which I do think lowers Sutton's ceiling. Though he does still have potential against a Washington defense that really has not been very good. Everyone expected Washington defense to be good. We never know about defenses heading into the season. It's such a volatile thing year to year, not consistent at all. It's very hard to sustain good defense in the NFL over long periods of time. But yeah, I'd still go Chase Claypool. Joey B versus Jets or Mahomes against the Giants. Yeah, Joe Burrow's been on fire. I mean, the Bengals offense is just cooking on all cylinders. The Jets, weirdly, though, have actually not been a horrible secondary. They really just get stampeded in the run game. I would definitely go Mahomes. I don't think you can bench Mahomes. Pick one, Cooks, Landry, Woods, or Judy. All these guys, like at least 2 of these guys are probably going to be huge busts this week. And I still will stick by Aaron. I don't think it's a great idea to start Jerry Judy this week. He's played one half, though. He's played one half of football. He scored 13 points in that week. So he has a really high ceiling. So in this situation, I think you're really deciding between Robert Woods and Jerry Judy. I wouldn't really start Brandon Cooks against the Rams in a hashtag revenge game. I don't really love Jarvis Landry against the Steelers either. I think it's going to be a big Nick Chubb week. So yeah, I think I would probably go Robert Woods. But if you want the upside, you go Jerry Judy. You got to go Jerry Judy for the upside. So it's up to you, Aaron. But at the bottom, and I say this every live stream too, guys, you got to make your own decisions. I'm going to give you as much advice as I can. At the end of the day, the best part about fantasy football is that you get to decide. We actually got an email the other day that was like, why doesn't the WalterPicks app tell me exactly who to start? Well, we intentionally built the WalterPicks app in a way that gives you all the info you need to make your own decision, because that is a really fun part about fantasy that we don't want to take away. Mike Williams or A.J. Brown or Sutton? Yeah, I'd go A.J. Brown. You have to start A.J. Brown. He's gone over 90 yards back-to-back weeks. I know the Colts secondary is not bad, but A.J. Brown is matchup proof. Ricky Seals, Jones, or Dalton Schultz? You got to go Dalton Schultz. It's got to be Dalton Schultz. He's been so good. He's a top 5 tight end this season. And it feels like Dak does have a chance to play. Even if he doesn't play, I think I'd go Schultz. Kirk or Dak? John, if Dak plays, it's Dak. I mean, if Dak plays, it's Dak. Dak's a top 5 quarterback if he plays. Saints defense or Broncos defense? Definitely Broncos defense. The Saints are against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who are probably going to score 30-plus points this week. Mike Williams or Kadarius Toney? Yeah, I feel like Mike Williams has just been too good to bench him for Kadarius Toney. I like Kadarius Toney more than Mike Williams this week. I still think you have to start Mike Williams, like just based on how they've done this season. Plus, Kadarius Toney's not 100% a lock to play. I'd say he's like a 90% chance to play. Ridley out, Gage or Toney? Yeah, Andy. Do not overthink this. Russell Gage is not safe. He's not safe. And he could have a good week. Don't get me wrong. And he should have more opportunity with Ridley out. But the Panthers secondary is good. And Stephon Gilmore's playing his first game of the season this week against the Falcons. And Russell Gage last week had a touchdown. He scored 17 fantasy points against the Dolphins. And I still don't think you can play it. I don't think he's safe at all. Yeah, so I wouldn't start Russell Gage. All right, guys. I got time for a few more comments, then I do need to wrap up the live. Khalil Herbert or Patterson. You can't bench Patterson right now with Calvin Ridley out. Too much receiving and rushing ceiling. Lawrence or Geno or Heineke. Yeah, you're digging real deep here. I'd probably go Trevor Lawrence, though. He's the best quarterback of those three. And he doesn't have that bad of a matchup either. So I would go Lawrence. Wentz or T? I'm assuming that means Tua, Samuel. But it's not super clear. The Bills have a good defense, though. I'd go Wentz. And the Titans don't have a good defense. I'd go Wentz. Gainwell or Cooks? Yeah, I think I would go Gainwell over Cooks. I don't like Brandon Cooks this week in a revenge game against the Rams. Antonio, Gibson, or Damian Harris? You guys are really making me decode these comments today. I think I would go Antonio Gibson, usually. But with the matchup for Damian Harris, I think Damian Harris, I feel like honestly both these guys are pretty good options. The matchup is better for Damian Harris. The Chargers have allowed the second most fantasy points per game to running backs this season. And the Patriots want to run the ball. I think I'd go Damian Harris. I think if I'm the New England Patriots today against the Chargers and I win the coin toss, I'm going to start with the ball and try to establish the run against the Chargers. But there's also that chance that they don't start with the ball and that they're down early in this game, which is going to make it harder for Damian Harris. But yeah, I think personally I'd go Damian Harris over Antonio Gibson. I think Damian Harris has the better shot at a touchdown today. T. Higgins or Chase Claypool? Yeah, I'd go Chase Claypool. Guys, if you need additional insight into your start-sit decisions, download the WalterPicks app in the iOS App Store. You get a completely free 7-day trial, too, if you're out of your free uses. It's the number one way you could possibly support me. I do appreciate it. And if you haven't hit that like and subscribe button on the YouTube Live, I do appreciate that as well. My final thoughts of the day. Let me pull up my picks against the spread one more time. I do think the Panthers will beat the Falcons. I thought that before the Calvin Ridley news. I think that even more now. I think it's a huge, huge bump up for Cordero Patterson and Kyle Pitts. I also think Chuba Hubbard, DJ Moore are pretty good plays today. I think the Eagles are a lock to beat the Lions. I mean, the Lions have not won a game. People are very down on the Eagles right now. The Eagles can put up points in this game. I love Jalen Hurts today. I love Devonte Smith today. The Browns are 4.5-point favorites versus the Steelers. Big Nick Chubb day coming. No Kareem Hunt. He's going to get every touch inside the red zone. The Buccaneers, 4-point favorites versus the Saints. I think Chris Godwin has a massive day today. I'm nervous about Mike Evans. I also am excited to see Jameis Winston pass the ball a little bit more because you have to throw against the Buccaneers. And it's a revenge game for famous Jameis today. LASIK Jameis. I think Marquez Callaway is a sneaky play as well. Guys, have a fantastic Halloween. Thank you so much for tuning in. We will be back live. Actually, I think we're going to start doing a Monday night live. So make sure you're tuning in Monday night. We're going to be doing a Monday night live. We're also doing a Wednesday night live now for trades, all about trades. And Thursday and Sunday, we're dominating the live streams. Have a good Sunday, guys. Good luck, and we'll talk soon.